Gentlemen, it's a big week. Wow. Dude, I put a lot of work into this podcast. I'm only halfway through it. First and foremost, the first segment that I want to break down is the trades that went down. I want to give out a huge apology because I was unaware that 5 trades, I think, or 4, were all going to get done in the same day on a Tuesday. And unfortunately, I did power rankings before all those trades were made. I did that on a Monday because I had off, trying to give back to the people, do podcasts and whatnot. I'm going to flat out say one thing right now, though. I don't think these trades have changed my stance on either team. If there was one team that I think it would have changed my stance on a little bit, meaning it would take it to the next level in a good way, not down. I think it would be the team that I put at number 2. So if you were involved in that deal, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I'll take my perspective into these trades, right? First one that got done was Zay Flowers and Jake Ferguson for DK Metcalf. Okay, straight up and foremost. And now you're going to hear on this take harsh about my stance on DK Metcalf. It's what year are we in now? 4 or 5 of DK Metcalf, and he hasn't ascended to that next step like we all thought he would. I think year 2 was his best season. But even so, I don't think I would have sold him that low for Zay Flowers. Now, Zay Flowers is going to have opportunity, but here's the difference. DK Metcalf has better touchdown upside. And I know we keep saying this with DK Metcalf. I get that. Zay Flowers, to me, is only being used as an underneath guy. The only thing that I think would help him, Zay Flowers, is that Bateman hurt again. Odo Beckham, he might retire. No, I'm just kidding. He might, though. I don't know. And I think Mark Andrews, this Todd Monken offense that we were promised deep shots, we haven't seen anything deep from the Baltimore Ravens yet. Does that change? Maybe, but I think, to be honest, I probably would have kept DK Metcalf. Therefore, I think this is a clear-cut victory for B-Magic. Zay Flowers has been flory. He hasn't been explosive. Now, DK Metcalf, Harsh, I know what you're saying. He hasn't had a 20-point game yet, but I'd still think I would. The fact that Jackson Smith and Jigba's not getting that much involved says that he's the clear-cut alpha, and Tyler Lockett doesn't have a floor. I still think he is the alpha in this offense. I think B-Magic got away with murder in this one. Now, does that mean Zay Flowers is a bust? No, but I do think his log might be very flory. It might be like 10, 11, 12, 8. Metcalf, I know at least on a bad week is those numbers. You get what I'm saying? So I would side with B-Magic in that deal. The next trade that got done was David sending away Gabe Davis and James Cook for Matt Stafford and Jalen Waddle. Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. Paul, I like James Cook, but I don't think that was the move needed for your team. James Cook, I actually think, is a very good RB2 rest of the season. Gabe Davis, okay, I'm gonna say it right now. The guy has literally a floor of 3 points, and if he hits, it's a wide range of outcomes. It could be 10 like we saw last week, or it could be even higher, like 17, 18. He's been a little bit better than last year, but still I don't think a breakout is happening with Gabe Davis. The next thing that goes into this deal, David, I think, wants Matt Stafford as insurance for Trevor Lawrence in case he's a little nervous. Plus, he's got Cooper Kupp and Tutu Atwell. The big thing here is that he gets Jalen Waddle. So you need to tell me that the funnest offense to watch, David has both the pass catchers, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Now, this is excellent. I think the only way this works is if it's a high-powered offense. Um, I love it. Now, Waddle, I think, was a great buy low. I think this is as low as you could get him for. Who am I siding with? I think it makes the David team a lot better. Now, James Cook, not terrible. He's actually really good. I a lot more expected. Gabe Davis, though, the difference between, like, you're upgrading Waddle to Gabe Davis. And let's say Tyreek Hill gets a 40-point game. Okay, well, then Jalen Waddle doesn't have to do that much. But if they split, remember last year was like 27 points from one of them and like 21 from another. If that happens, man, that's like just incredible floor that's happening. Not to mention the fact that this team then is going to go from Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, and then the flexes are going to be Jalen Waddle and David. I'm sorry, I haven't looked at your team since then, so whatever. But I side with the David team here. Jay Fresh, you send away Cortland Sutton and Kareem Hunt for Gabe Davis. Well, okay. So I am going to give a hot take out right now. Cortland Sutton was actually the most reliable Bronco receiver so far. Um, you have a lot of guys that are hard to determine, like who you're going to start. Elijah Moore. They're all guys that are just like not making that next step. DJ Moore, Elijah Moore, Nico Collins, now Adam Thielen into the mix. Now I don't know if that's going to be a sell high guy. I have no idea what you plan on doing with that dude. But and then you had Cortland Sutton. So I get what you're saying is, dude, I don't want to decide between these two guys. Let me get a guy that's attached to my quarterback. If you still think Josh Allen's going to put up elite numbers, if a Josh Allen and Gabe Davis connection hits, it's pretty freaking solid. But I haven't. But on the flip side, who would I have gotten rid of in that deal? You're gonna completely no. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. Forget it. Forget it. Forget it. Forget it. In this case, who do I think wins this deal? Based on the roster construction, I'm actually gonna have to go with the. I lean Jay because he had Josh Allen. That's the only reason why. Paul, I actually think with the way your team was set up, I think you know that you're kind of behind the eight ball now. I think your whole roster is coin flips, and you set it up because. Oh, did I miss Mahomes? Did that trade happen? I'm sorry. I skipped a trade. Paul, I apologize. Patrick Mahomes gets sent for Curtis Samuel and Joe Mixon. Paul, you won this deal by a landslide, dude. B-Magic, I understand you have Brock Purdy and you wanted some depth at running back and fill out your receiving core. I don't think Curtis Samuel was the way to do it. I at all, to be honest. B-Magic, it's okay though because you picked up Josh Palmer, which I actually my original bid was $57 and I went down, so well played. B-Magic, I understand like Brock Purdy and you're trying to fill out the depth. Cool. I mean, do you, my guy? But Paul, the fact that you're getting Kelsey stacked with Mahomes is awesome. In conclusion, the teams that traded wanted stacks. And I think it's because the teams that are doing this are trying to compensate for a missing flex or a weakness at flex. Paul, for example. Paul, you realize all these moves that you're doing, your last flex or your flexes are going to be very hard to trust. That's fine. You're stacking it with something. You're hoping that your elite quarterback gets over 30 every week and that your guy is on the receiving end of at least one of those touchdowns. Johnny, I think, is the same reason. Johnny, I think, has a lot of confidence in Rachaad White. A lot of people don't. But the lateral move there was, look, Gabe Davis, I know I can't sit every week. I need to make that management decision and say, I don't want to decide between Nico Collins, Adam Thielen, and Cortland Sutton. And you know what, dude? That's fine. Get rid of one of those guys. By the way, Elijah Moore shouldn't be starting on your team anymore. And that's about it. So enjoy the takes that I gave. If there was one team that makes me go, oh, wow, I like this setup a lot more, you'll have to find out. I'll tell you what ranked team it was in my rankings, and then I'll tell you what the consensus rankings were before we go into matchups. It was the number 2 team. All right. I'm going to flat out tell you right now, power rankings. After 3 weeks in the season, we kind of see some teams are starting to gel into form. Some teams might have a future outcome that looks very, very bright. And then when you talk about the bottom 7, there might be 1 or 2 teams that are looking up, and then the rest not so well. And that starts with my number 12 team. It is a former champion indeed. Big guy. I'm just calling it like I see it, and things have not worked out for Mr. Paul Percall. Paul, I will flat out tell you right now, I don't think, it's still early. You do have a win. I think you have a win under your belt. I'm recording this Monday. I have like jury duty and stuff right now, so I'm like in a waiting thing. It's virtual, so that is why I'm recording it right now. Paul, I don't fault you at all, my man, for trading out of that first round because there were so many options, and I got to be honest,
I think the three guys that you got, one of them got hurt, another one got hurt. The other's not bad, but I don't think he's league winning potential. And that's the guy I'm talking about is Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I think Kelsey is still going to be your boy. Jalen Waddle's been somewhat of a disappointment. Now, he's still a great wide receiver. No question about it. But I think, dude, Waddle is the routes that they're using him on are go routes and slants. And it's up for him to kind of yards after the catch take one to the house. I mean, Tyreek Hill's kind of the same way, but like the offense revolves around Tyreek Hill. Waddle was getting it done by, I mean, I think he had the last year, we saw the role he was being used. It wasn't the dink and dunk role from when I had him as a rookie year. They're more deep shots, and this is a pass first offense. So I do honestly think that Jalen Waddle right now could be a very good buy low. But as far as the rest of the team is concerned, Justin Fields has not worked out. He looks like a bust. It's okay. Matt Stafford, I do think, was a great pickup, and you only spent $4 on him. So the fact of the matter is this: he's throwing for 300 yards without Cooper Kupp. The fact that the Rams are in a win, like they're actually winning and competitive, means they're going to bring Cooper Kupp back. So I'm giving you some positives on your team. I actually kind of like that as a fill, and you could do much worse than Matt Stafford. My only thing is a guy like him, his floor now is only like 15 to 19. If Cooper Kupp comes back, man, you might get those 20 plus point weeks. The whole Commanders passing attack looks like dog shit. I'm upset about Jahan Dotson, and Terry McLaurin is not getting it done either. Dotson's been more of a bust than McLaurin, but even so, dude, like 6 targets for your number one receiver last week in week 3 is just no. That's not what you expected. This is a reason he fell because of injury. You know my stance on Alexander Madison. I don't think he's a good back. Cam Akers coming in there is probably going to split some time. Uh, they would not trade for Cam Akers if they didn't feel like Alexander Madison was the guy. 20 for 93 is like average at best. Joe Mixon, the problem I have, Paul, with this team is the flex guys that you have in right now are not game changers. Your defense is, though, that $100 D. But no, Breida, I don't think is anything special. I think he's a fill-in guy as well. The Giants just, if they can't run with Barkley, I think Breida's going to have to get it done in a passing attack. I don't like the outcome. Ryan Tannehill with Treylon Burks not good. It's going to be hard to fight through this, my man. I think the best option that you have, if like, I want to help out some teams. Like, you don't have to listen to what I'm saying. I mean, a lot of the crap I say is wrong. I just stand by my stance on a lot of stuff. If I was to sell for depth, Kelsey would be the number one piece I would sell. I get that he's the number one guy, but man, those flex options, man, they're not promising at all. So it's hard. I would try Kelsey. I would also try to see what you can move for Jalen Waddle. I'm not going to name guys that I would, but there are a lot of teams if you look out there that have depth, especially at the receiver position. I think a lot of teams don't like to trade running backs, Paul. We know this, but I think receiver wise, you could probably find something for Jalen Waddle if you're getting. Let's say you take a risk on a guy that could break out. Uh, I'm not saying you should do this, but a guy that stands out to mind that might not have a lot of value right now, like a Tank Dell. I would also kind of highly consider. Now, this is going to be risky as fuck, but if you could tell me right now, granted, I don't think he's going to do it because Allen's very stubborn, but if you went out and traded, I'm saying for a package piece too, Kelsey straight up for like Puka Nakua and like Jahmyr Gibbs, I would take that in a heartbeat. Absolutely. So I think packaging one of your good guys for depth, because unfortunately, McLaurin, you can't. I would get rid of Terry McLaurin immediately, but you can't sell him for a bag of chips right now. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. It's tough. You're 1-2, so you're not totally freaking out of it. I think we don't have any more winless teams as of right now as I'm recording. Maybe, I don't know. But that's kind of where we're at. Well, this leads me to the next case. Who in the world is going to come in at number third. No, I'm sorry, number 11. I'm counting backwards. Yikes. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Yeah, we're going back to back defend our former champions. Alex Matika, the first to worst cursed, might still be in play, but you've got some promising pieces after. So Nick Chubb goes down, Barkley's out for the time being. Those are your anchor guys, but in reality, now I haven't watched the Monday night game yet because this is being filmed at 10:40 a.m. on a Monday while I'm doing this. So unless something drastic happens, I'm trying to get this in. So if an injury goes down, vice versa, this, that, the other, but I'll put that into consideration with this team anyway. Lamar Jackson's been okay other than week 1. I will say this, though. I expected a lot more out of Lamar because this was supposed to be a pass-first attack. Mark Andrews has been not healthy. OBJ's hurt. Rashad Bateman hurt again, which means the only reliable target that he has is a rookie in Zay Flowers, and they're only using him on underneath routes. They're not going deep at all. Their running backs are hurt. Again, this is the same situation Lamar Jackson finds himself in every single year, which means he's going to have to get it done with his legs. Now, that's awesome for fantasy, but you get concerned long term about his health because he has not played a full season in God knows how long, 2 or 3 years. The receivers, you lost Deontay Johnson to a hamstring injury, and I actually do think he fit well with your strategy with the two colossal backs that you have. Jerry Jeudy finally looked okay, but again, this was in a garbage time blowout type of a game. I also don't know what the hell's going on with the Broncos passing attack. It's kind of hard to figure out. Marvin Mims looks like he's sparingly used as a deep route guy. Cortland Sutton shows up one week, doesn't do shit the next week. It's the same for Jerry Jeudy. So I have no idea what the plan is. And then you have all these random other guys like this Brandon Johnson character who also pops up into the box score here or there. Rashid Shaheed is your Duvernay of this year, and he's a lot better. I love that guy. For example, this week he didn't even get a single catch, but returned one for like this guy's floor is amazing. Congrats on that pick because that was one guy I was targeting extremely late. I also think now I'm going to tell you this right now. I would be in the market to buy him if I don't know what Derek Carr's injury is going to be. But the fact of the matter is, Rashid Shaheed is a speedster, and Jameis Winston loves to air it out deep down the field. I think Olave and Shaheed are going to be in play. I do not like Michael Thomas's. I've never liked Michael Thomas's value, first off, but that's here nor there. Jerome Ford looks like a baller. I'm going to flat out tell you this right now. I am not worried about Kareem Hunt. Jerome Ford was bought in here to be the pass catching guy behind Nick Chubb. That's what Hunt's job's supposed to be, but Ford looks serviceable. I think obviously there's going to be a split time between him and Kareem Hunt, but I do think at worst case scenario you have an RB2 because the Browns' offensive line is still pretty solid. And with Deshaun Watson back there's going to be a lot more dink and dunks than him going deep down the field. DeAndre Swift. So this is before Monday night. If he has an outrageous game again, he's going to prove me wrong. I love the talent of DeAndre Swift. I think that his best game ever in his career came last week. I don't think he'll ever be able to top that. This coaching staff likes Kenny Gainwell a lot, and I do think that they're going to be very cautious with the way they use DeAndre Swift. He's an explosive back, but I also think that they need to make him rotate with somebody else. With that being said, I don't think this guy is going to be... When he was in Detroit, he was awesome when he was healthy. Obviously, he's not going to be the goal line guy, even though he looked really good at the goal line. This is a guy I would sell immediately, like even if he has another good game for a receiver, because I think that's where you're struggling at, especially the flex departments now with all these injuries. I think Gainwell and him are going to be the 1-2 punch. That's the way I see it. I don't trust Nick Sirianni with running backs. I think the Eagles backs have always used like a 2-back system. Goddard, look, I mean, this is why I don't take tight ends before round 10. Like, no thank you. He's been a disappointment. Barkley, if you get him back, that's cool. Bateman, look, you can cut Rashad Bateman. I'm sorry. I love the talent in Rashad Bateman, but the fact of the matter is this. He did not get surgery on that foot last year, and that was a big mistake. If he had gotten the surgery, because he got hurt back in October and had all those months to rehab. I will flat out, and granted, this is wishful thinking. I get it. I guarantee you he'd be the number one receiver in Baltimore. It's not even close. Then I look, Deontay Johnson, you need to come back. This is a big one. Devon A-Chain. I'll talk about that in a second. Because everything else, Singletary, you can cut. He's garbage. Jared Goff, I don't think, I get it. Cool. And if you're playing for bye weeks, awesome. But you have 3 guys on the bench, though, that if they come back, can make your team a very scary second half team and push for the playoffs. And those guys are Deontay Johnson, because I do think your wide receivers they're doing well for the time being, but I don't know how that translates long term. Devon A-Chain, though, man. Okay. So I'm going to just tell everybody right now, we can't take anything seriously in that Denver game. The fact of the matter is, A-Chain, Raheem Mostert both got 4+ touchdowns, and they ran up the score. Okay? Yes, it was awesome. Cool. You're excited because you have Devon A-Chain, and I think that trade, was kind of even for both of you guys. I stand by, because Johnny had asked me if he should do that trade. I told him yes, because I didn't think Devon A-Chain was going to be a factor with Jeff Wilson on IR, him coming back. And actually, Salvin Ahmed actually played very, very well in the preseason to earn the number 2 role behind Raheem Mostert. I think Raheem Mostert is a buy. I'm buying him as long as he's healthy. The reason why you don't want to buy Raheem Mostert is because you know he can go down any minute. If that happens, dude, this is a game-changing running back. Really, really good move that you did. Nico Collins has been solid, but, Jonathan Taylor. So the fact that the Colts are winning, they're 2-1, and Zach Moss looks competent, might make Taylor to be motivated and say, fuck, now I actually have to play to get paid. So you can thank Jim Irsay and his horniness for everything in Indianapolis right now, because that's hilarious. I actually think, now I know the first to worst curse is still in play, and you've been dealing with a lot of injuries, but ever since the guy's gone down, boom, like you've had somebody step in and at least be intrigued for the outcome and possibilities, which is why I have you over Paul. But as of right now, you're 1-2, and you still got a lot of guys that are hurt and a guy that's protesting or whatever you call it, right? So I'm going to be honest. I know you're power ranked at 11 and you have that curse going on, but I actually do think you have some optimistic pieces here. But again, there's a lot of shit. By the way, you won with fucking. Oh, wait a minute, dude. I apologize. You're about to be 2-1. What the fuck, dude? Hold on a second. Assuming DeAndre Swift does something this tonight and Dallas Goedert. Wow. Okay, maybe I need to redo that. Dude, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get everything in time. But regardless, even though like you feel bad because you lost your 2 anchor guys, you have some backup pieces that are pretty nice. My bottom point. I'm either going to put you, now that I know this, I actually might put you at number 10 instead of 11. So there you go. Yeah. So this is basically going to decide based on the matchup that had just occurred between both of you guys, who I'm going to put at 10, who I'm going to put at 11 based on record. Oh, man. Dude, the Magic, man, I think the Magic's starting to wear off. B-Magic, you're either going to come in at number 10 or 11, depending on how DeAndre Swift and Dallas Goedert do Monday night. But regardless, even if you spend on somebody, Magic, man, I think week 1 really looked very promising for you, and a lot of stuff has gone downhill. So Mahomes is fine. I think you're going to get a floor of 25, and his upside is 30 to 40 plus. That's cool. But again, you're going to notice in a trend where I have these power rankings, I get why, again, why taking an elite quarterback in a 6-point touchdown league is appealing to do it very early, but you get behind a lot in the 8 ball if you don't have depth. But let's talk about this for a second. Patrick Mahomes is fine. Deebo Samuel, again, when Ayuk is on the field, I don't like any of these guys because I think that it's hard to trust them week in and week out. But when one of them is out, they go off. And I told you that on your previous match. Your previous matchup. Calvin Ridley is looking like the guy that I think a lot of us were avoiding now. Week 1 was such a dick tease. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's Trevor Lawrence. The Jaguars passing attack has been a huge disappointment this season. I think a lot of people were looking forward to it, myself included. Yikes. He has not, and again, these are not hard matchups. It was Kansas City and Houston. He's looking more and more on the boomer bust wide receiver 3 range than the wide receiver 1 that we thought of. Tony Pollard is fine to have as a running back 1. My only concern with him is him being used at the goal line. He has not looked that promising at the goal line. But the volume, the explosiveness, it all looks pretty solid to me. Dalvin Cook, garbage. I can tell you that as a Jets fan. George Kittle, you don't feel great about George Kittle, like starting him, unless, again, one of the other 2 receivers is out. Because if they're all in, it's literally, okay, one of these guys is doing well. Everybody else is going to get pushed to the side because Brock Purdy cannot support 2 guys in the same game. Zay Flowers, 9 points this week. The only thing I'll say about Zay Flowers to have some optimism with it is that Rashad Bateman got hurt yet again. Mark Andrews is still being eased his way in back from, I think, the quad injury. And Odell Beckham, shocker, hurt yet again. With that being said, he is the only viable, healthy target that Lamar has to throw to. And as great as you want to see that with targets, they're only using him underneath. So they're not using him in explosive plays like I honestly thought they were going to use him in. It's a little disappointing. Because, and this goes back to Johnny with Elijah Moore. I was telling him the same thing. You can get 9 targets a game, but if they're all within the yard markers, this guy's going to get you 8 to 10 points, maybe at best. Zay Flowers should be used a lot differently, and I think they're going to have to realize that where everybody else is kind of hurt on this team. Now, Joshua Kelly. Boy, was I wrong on this guy. Holy crap. So, I think the Chargers have a great offensive line. Week 1, splitting with Eckler, he almost had 100 yards against Miami's defense, which is not very good. But still, he looked good. But the problem is Josh Kelly, he doesn't have any moves. He's literally, okay, I'm going to run in a straight line. The blocking's got to be there. And if it's not, he looks like shit. Well, guess what? I think teams are starting to figure that out because the Titans game, scratch that. I knew that was a bad defensive play. But the fact that he only got you 2.2 against the Minnesota Vikings, who got destroyed by DeAndre Swift. No, thank you. Yeah, you can forget about him. San Fran defense, though, you got to like that. Now, the reason why I'm not huge on this team, Mr. Magic Man, is the bench. So Jake Ferguson with I don't know. If anybody's in the market for a tight end, I would trade Kittle in a heartbeat and just start Jake Ferguson. That would be my thing. Brandon Cooks, I got to be honest, this does not look like a good signing right now. MVS, well, the thing is you took 2 of the Chiefs passing attack guys, and I'm going to stick with what I said. None of these receivers just look like a breakout candidate in Kansas City. MVS can do one thing well. He can't do contested catches. He runs at a straight line. Hopefully he's deep down the field where Mahomes can find him. And if he's not, he's going to get you nothing. Kadarius Toney, I mean, what the fuck? Dude, I mean, this guy's got bust written all over it at this point. Like, I know Bieniemy's not there, but, like, by default, he's their best receiver. By default. I know it's not saying much because MVS is not good. Rashee Rice, I don't know what he'll ever be. Justin Ross, I think, is a jump ball guy. Like, they're all role players, and Sky Moore, don't even get me started. He's an undersized guy. He doesn't beat man coverage, but he'll find a soft zone here, there, and the other. Tony should be a lot better, and he's not proving it. So I can't get optimistic about that. Rico Dowdle, though, at least you got the right handcuff this time. I'm surprised he actually didn't get drafted in our draft. Latavius Murray, well, positive sign with Latavius Murray is that he's the goal line back in Buffalo. So here's my thing, B-Magic. In order for this team to kind of rise above, Mahomes needs to be on his A game. Deebo Samuel needs to get those 20-point weeks like he did 2 years ago. And the X factor is Calvin Ridley. Because if this guy shows you what he was in week 1, I think we can get hyped about this team. But if we're looking at what we're looking at now, I don't see any difference between Calvin Ridley and like a DJ Moore. It's literally like coin flip every week. It's either, oh, I'm hoping for a touchdown, or he's not going to do anything for receiver. And when you don't have the running backs to back that up, yikes. And by the way, just to get you positive, we're running it back with Josh Kelly against the Raiders next week, buddy. It'll happen. Third time's got to be a charm, right? Rolling along, I guess. We got number 9. Number 9. Okay, boys. Number 9. Due to certain circumstances, I've done a total 180 on this team. This is a team I actually thought was a sleeper team. And for a team to be 2-1 and have them at number 9 means that something drastically is about to go wrong. Patrick, buddy, I love the setup in the beginning of the year, but there's a lot of stuff that's a little worrisome. Let me start with the positives, though, first. We'll start with the positive. I like to start with a positive before I get to the negative. Jalen Hurts is a positive. I know he hasn't played Monday night yet, but he's good. That's great. Can we give it up for James Conner and how much of a stud that he's been? Last year, man, people were trying to tell us, dude, the last week of December, he ranked inside the top 5 for running backs purely on volume. And guess what? Arizona, even though they look like they're going to tank for the number 1 pick, although they have 1 win and they beat Dallas, they are running guys out there. All their veterans are still here now. They have 1 win. I don't know how many other wins they're going to get, but Connor is not the problem. Patrick, you need Austin Eckler back like immediately. The only thing though is they have a bye week 5, so I think you're going to be without him the next 2 weeks, and then that game against the Dallas Cowboys, I think, is when he returns. Brandon Ayuk too, his injury. I will say this: I think Ayuk, when healthy, I know he had the 28-point game in week 1, and everybody was jumping up and down because they thought this was the breakout. But my stance still stays on the 49ers guys, that when both him and Debo are healthy, it's impossible to figure out which one's going to go off. And you saw that when he was out, Debo Samuel had his best game of the season. Debo Samuel. Okay, we're done. T. Higgins and Drake London are not going to get the job done. The Falcons are content with being a boring effing offense unless you're a running back. If you're Tyler Algier or Bijan Robinson, cool. You're going to get all the catches. You're going to get all the carries. Everybody else, though, we don't need you. They're waste. I hate. I'm sorry, and I know maybe in real life it's good, but I can't watch a Falcons offensive game, dude. It's boring, and I feel bad. I liked Drake London last year. The minute I traded for him, he was garbage, and I said no, thank you. Talent-wise, I think this guy is amazing. Like he's Mike Evans Jr. We will not see that though if they don't get a good quarterback. T. Higgins, this is another guy. He's good, but if Joe Burrow is going to get put on IR, dude, I don't know what the hell to do with T. Higgins because, like, obviously they still got Jamar Chase there as well. Samaje Perine. Yikes. Not the handcuff we were looking for. I think this guy early in June was the handcuff to, like, go out and reach for, and any of the Broncos running backs look like busts. So take that for what it's worth. Isaiah Pacheco and a good offense, I understand that, but I think he's more touchdown or bust. Like, he falls in that Brian Robinson category. It's like, yo, if this guy does not get a touchdown, you're getting 7 points. For example, Brian Robinson this week had 10 carries for 7 yards. That's 7 yards a carry. But in fantasy, without a touchdown, that only translates to 7 points. Pacheco is good for teams that have 0 RB, like stacked wide receivers that have a good floor, and then you can throw him in there hoping for a touchdown. The roster construction you have, I don't necessarily see that like that because you're more of a balance-based guy. You're like, okay, get my receiver here, get my running back here, quarterback here type of thing. Tony Jones is going to be irrelevant very, very soon. Darnell Mooney, I mean, any Bear player that you're starting means that you've had a rough year. Jameson Williams is a wild card because Detroit needs a downfield guy. And I actually do think that considering how pedestrian they've been in a vertical attack, I think that they're waiting for this guy to finally break out. Rashee Rice. So I'm going to flat out tell you right now, I don't like any of the Kansas City receivers. But Mr. Rice, and I know Sky Moore had the good week 2 game, but like, look at this. He caught a touchdown week 1. So without that, that's like 3 points. Jacksonville, 3 points. And then Chicago, he had 5 targets. Like, if his role increases, you feel great about it. But if not, meh. Damian Harris, yeah, I don't want anything to do with Buffalo running backs. Except for James Cook's good. KJ Osborne, well, we don't know about the severity of Justin Jefferson. Obviously, you got a receiving TD, but you never know with that. Taysom Hill at the tight end spot, hilarious. And the Dallas defense who got you 1, I don't think that'll ever happen again. So, Patrick, I think what it comes down to is the receivers are really going to make you. They're going to drive you nuts. I think when you have Austin Eckler and Jalen Hurts, and you know what? I'll even throw James Conner in there. I think you guys had that's your good 3 floor players. Those are guys you can rely on week in, week out. But everybody else is kind of a coin flip, and it's hard to rely on coin flips at the starting roster. Like your coin flip, you should at least have, in my opinion, you should at least have 5 definites, and then everything else would be coin flips. I think, regardless of position. My outcome look on this team, in my personal opinion, remember what I say doesn't necessarily have to happen. First and foremost, you need Ayuk and Eckler back because I gave you the game ball 2 weeks ago, I think. And this week, I think we came crashing down to earth. As of right now, you're only predicted to get 86 points. I'm doing this on Monday at 11 o'clock. I think you'll do a little bit better than that, though, because Jalen Hurts is always an absolute monster to go off. Well, Patrick Leo, Patrick Ryan, whatever you go by, whatever your alias is. We got to hope that the Falcons start passing a little bit more so Drake London can be unleashed, and you need the lightning bug, Austin Eckler, back. Well. Team that's coming in at number 8 was one of 3 teams that went the 0 RB strategy, and based on a combination of things, some bust picks, it's a mixed bag, okay? Because I'll tell you this right now. There's some bust picks that are in this bag. There are some great pickups that are in this bag. And there, unfortunately, have been some injuries that are in this bag. And as of right now, it's a big question mark as to if they can prevail with all this shit that they got to deal with, right? But the reason why I'm putting this team at number 8 and not lower is because I actually do think that there are some positive pieces on this team still. And I don't think that we've found, what's the word I'm looking for? A reason to be so pessimistic where I have to have it in the bottom, regardless of the injury. Mr. Harsh Gadini, you're sitting at number 8. As of right now, it's a Monday. I think you're going to beat David, so that means your record will be a 1-2. First and foremost, Justin Herbert, I'm going to stick by to what I said. What I said was this, okay? Herbert in real life is a great quarterback. Herbert in fantasy is good, but he should be much, much greater than what he's shown in past years. Now, what do I mean by that? Numbers don't lie. When Austin Eckler is not active, they throw the shit out of the ball. Against Tennessee, 305 passing yards, 2 pass touchdowns. Minnesota, 405 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Without Eckler. With Eckler, he can still get the yardage done, but the Chargers are very, very, very happy with running Austin Eckler up the gut, which is why he's been such a fantasy asset. Now, when I'm talking about Justin Herbert, okay, Herbert fully loaded. Everybody said this would be the next guy to be the number 1 fantasy quarterback, and right now he looks like he is. Great quarterback. Here's where things have gotten bad, though. Mike Williams, who looked like again, I think when Eckler's out, Keenan Allen goes off. Mike Williams is going to have his good games. It looks like an ACL injury. So, unfortunately, that stack that went for, dude, 35 and 21 against the Vikings, dude, that's the upside you wanted when you took Mike Williams. Unfortunately, the injury gods had other ideas. And unfortunately, Mike Williams, a guy who can never stay healthy, it's a shame because I do think he's talented. And I do think we were starting to see him be more than the jump ball receiver 3 years ago. And that's why I think I got very excited for him last year. God, this sucks. Chris Olave, I got to be honest with you. This guy, if this should be a guy that everybody should be sending you offers for, because I don't know the severity of Derek Carr's injury. Now, Olave was getting it done with Derek Carr, but I do think that explosive weeks with Jameis Winston, I like him and I like Shaheed. I think they're my two guys that I'm buying with Jameis Winston. Olave, you love. Zach Moss. Now, this was a good pickup for you, Harsh. Again, I never thought Zach Moss would be a type of running back to get 21 points, but this is why I loved him in Buffalo. I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. Look. I get it. My only concern is this, though. The Colts are winning. They're 2-1. Jonathan Taylor wants to get paid more. They're not going to get paid. They're not going to pay him. And Colts said, look, nobody's going to give you a first-round pick. So if he's holding out, he has no leverage, and now he's seeing what Zach Moss does, and that the Colts are winning, you know what Jonathan Taylor's going to say? Oh, shit. I got to put on my helmet now, and now I have to go play so I can get paid. That's my only concern. Enjoy it while it lasts. But if Jonathan Taylor comes back, Zach Moss, I don't know. I would, in other words, if you had the depth, I would try to trade Zach Moss. Tyler Algier, well, I think week 1, people got excited, and then it just went downhill from there. I think that his value is more cutting into Bijan Robinson than it is actually, what's the word I'm looking for? Him being a serviceable RB2. I don't think that's happening. Hayden Hurst's tight end, who cares? Okay, so your previous matchup against David, I had called out. It's one of my call outs. In case anybody doesn't know this, this is a wake-up call that I do, and DK Metcalf got a wake-up call. I'm sorry, but he should be doing a lot better. Now, granted, he went over 100 yards. I don't think he had a lot of 100-yard games last year. But hey, he went 6 for 112 against Carolina. He's still clearly the alpha. He has the best floor between Lockett and Jackson Smith and Jibba. So for you getting him at that third-round price, looks pretty solid. But we need those 20-point games out of DK Metcalf. Like, I think, look at the size of him and everything else and the target volume. I just think that he's always going to sit between 10 and 20. Hopefully there's a 20-point game coming up soon for DK Metcalf. Poor Garrett Wilson. Now, this guy, I don't know what you could do with him at this point just because of inaccurate quarterback play. So with that being said, you have 2 receivers that are good. Bench, Dameon Pierce looks, I told you I didn't like this guy. You can't defend it anymore. He's touchdown or bust. A.J. Dillon, holy crap. Somebody had said on Twitter the last 3 years the most overrated handcuff has been A.J. Dillon, and it's kind of hard to argue that. Sky Moore, like I don't see you starting him anytime soon. Jonathan Mingo got hurt. Him getting hurt led to DJ Chark getting more looks. And don't even get me started with Adam Thielen. Tank Dell, okay? Excuse me, buddy, because I'm going to quote your ass right now, and I don't care if you said it was smokescreen or not, but I'm putting you on record. When you went to the beach in June, you loved Tank Dell. Loved him. Then when it came into August, I don't like Tank Dell. And then when he got drafted, yeah, I'm not really into Tank Dell. Who do you have on your time? Tank Dell. So it looks like Tank Dell might actually be a startable option moving forward. I think he might be your Mike Williams replacement. Kenny Gainwell, I mean, I don't know now I think, like I told you, Harsh, if Swift goes down, I love Gainwell, but I think that the Eagles are going to mix and match their running backs depending on matchups, who they like. It's a mixed bag, Harsh. It really is. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Pieces I love, Herbert. I love Olave. I'll give you credit for this. If Zach Moss retains the starting role the whole year, yes, I love Zach Moss, and that might have been the best bid this entire season. So good job on that. I don't love, but I like DK Metcalf. So those are only 4 players I like. Guys that I think, Tank Dell, you know what? I'll put him up there as well. I actually do think that the Texans' passing attack has shown promise, and I actually think it's not just because of CJ Stroud developing very, very quickly as an NFL quarterback, but I also think it's because they can't run the ball that they have to rely so much on the passing attack. I think Nico Collins, I thought he was a sell high. I am off that. I think that he actually might be a buy low. I'm not scared because John Mechie hasn't really done much. Robert Woods is dust. I mean, he's getting the most because he can't separate anymore. He gets literally like 3-yard targets. Tank Dell, though, man, they're dialing up some creative plays for the Tank. And I think Algier, because he's on a run first team, he's a little bit viable. But like he can be a question mark too. So Harsh is a mixed bag of results, but hopefully you enjoyed this breakdown. Well. If there is one team that I think is close to playoff potential, but I am not willing, okay, that's the word. I'm not willing to put them in the top 6 just yet because I'm going to be 110% honest with you. No cap. I'm going to give it to you straight. The number 7 team after the draft, I'll tell you this right now. I'm going to build up some suspense with this. I absolutely hated this team. Like 110%, was not big on it at all. At all. I literally looked at that team and I said, there might be only 3 players on this entire roster that I think are going to be viable and that I think that can be top 5 at their own position. And everything else was literally like kind of on my do not draft list. Yes, I'm very biased on a lot of the players that he took because I hated those players. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I called before week 1 even started. I had a discussion with another manager in our league, and we were discussing our power rankings and where we differed. I was really, really, very, very opinionated on this team, and another manager by the name of Harsh Gardini said this. Yes, I agree with you that this team right now does not look good, but the one thing that you can never, ever, ever, ever count out is the trade management of this. I almost said motherfucker. Sorry. The trade management of this owner seems to really get away with robberies that really make you kind of turn your head twice and be like, how the heck did this happen? So the number 7 team I'm putting out is Jonathan. Now, Jonathan, I'm going to be honest with you. I really thought you were going to be in the bottom 12, or 10, bottom 10, because we're going to go to the roster. The 3 people I liked, a healthy Christian McCaffrey, Josh Allen, and I understand I'm not a big elite tight end guy, but I'm not going to disrespect Mark Andrews like that. Everything else after that, dude, I did not want anything to do with any of these guys. But times have changed. And although you did get rid of one guy that might have league-winning potential, from the need of your team, I actually think that it was okay. I'm defending you on this because another manager had bought up some opinions. So I'm going to tell you right now, I'm looking at it, and Josh Allen is okay. Nothing wrong there. McCaffrey, when healthy, is fine. Mark Andrews is not healthy. I think me and you both know this. They are limiting him. They are taking it easy. And they're really, 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 really trying to take it slow with him. Those are the 3 players I liked. Okay. Now I am going to be as unbiased as I possibly can. Nico Collins. So the first 2 weeks, everybody thought, dude, this guy might be a wide receiver too, and then literally didn't do anything against Jacksonville. I'm gonna say this right now. A lot of people said he was a sell high week 2, and I disagree. I think right now he's a tremendous buy low. That was a weird game script, this, that, the other. I know Stroud looked good and Tank Dell had the big game, but Tank Dell's awesome, and I think Harsh made a great pickup, but I never in a million years would have thought Nico Collins would go over 100 yards in an NFL game. He's done that once, and I think he can do it again because the Texans can't run the ball. The Texans with the exception of, I guess, Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz looks like a terrible signing. Robert Woods can only catch 5-yard routes. Tank Dell's an X factor, and I think that they're going to scheme him up properly. Tank Dell might be a guy that everybody wants next year, by the way. But the fact of the matter is this, like, Nico Collins might not have a decent floor, but I also think that, like, in the games that the Texans are going to play, like, they get Pittsburgh, they get Atlanta, and New Orleans, I think they're going to still have to throw in those games. I think they're not going to get up into a lead. Nico Collins, you've heard this a million times. He can be garbage time Dwayne Bowe. I saw somebody, I've used that analogy so many times, but this could be that guy. And when they're up, he might not do anything. So I think that's the correlation I'm going with for now. Obviously, it's a small sample size. Elijah Moore, dude, I'm telling you, this guy you're wasting your time with him. He's not the guy in Cleveland. And again, he is literally catching 5-yard routes, anything within the chain markers. He's dink and dunk, dink and dunk. I understand when you look at it, 9 targets looks amazing, but the only way you start him is a last flex. Maybe cutting him is a little too harsh, but your expectations were way too high, dude. And I will say this. I think talent-wise, I think he could still be really good, but not in the role they're using him in. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, Rachaad White. Well, my stance has not changed. I think last week you should have shopped him, but I understand why you didn't do it. You're like, dude, I don't have any running backs. Believe me, I don't have any running backs either, so I get it. Rachaad White. Well, Chase Edmonds goes down. Not that meant anything. And Sean Tucker doesn't profile as a pass-catching back, which means that this guy might get a lot of work. And I get it. Volume is king. Volume is king. I understand he looked great, but it was against the Bears. And I think that's the best game he'll have all year. Look, if he goes off against Philly right now, I will get on a video, send it into our chat, and say I was wrong about Rachaad White. Literally, if he scores again, or he's projected for 9 points, if he gets over the 10-yard mark, I will go out and say, hey, look, this dude might not be good in real life, but the volume that he's getting in fantasy football is keeping his value afloat, which would really suck for my Sean Tucker shares. But like when I looked on film, dude, I'm still saying it, still sticking by my stance. I don't think he's very good. But the fact of the matter is this. The reason why I am not completely bashing and saying this guy sucks and is because of roster construction. You have Christian McCaffrey. If that motherfucker gets over 20 points, Rachaad White only needs to get you 10. But you have to nail the receivers. That's the other thing. DJ Moore, you thought wide receiver 2? Absolutely not. He's, like I told you, boomer bust wide receiver 3. I understand that people are getting on, oh, but he plays for the Bears. Oh, Justin Fields, this, that. Look, look. It has now been 2 years, maybe even 3. The only guy who unlocked wide receiver 1, DJ Moore, ask David, I think it was 2 years ago, when Sam Darnold was the quarterback in Carolina and they had Mike, I think it was Mike Shula with Matt Rule. Mike Shula schemed him up like Cooper Kupp. The year I won, dude, watch the film 4 weeks, the first 4 weeks of the season. He was being treated like Cooper Kupp. It was awesome to see. And then they got rid of him, and then they can't figure out what to do with this guy. It's not the answer, dude. It's literally touchdown or bust for this guy. I'm sticking by that 110%. You can't feel comfortable with it. Now, speaking of satanic rituals and fuckery, Adam Thielen, what the fuck, dude? Are you kidding me? So, dude, you know my stance on this, right? When you've got a guy in his mid-30s who goes out and gets 26 fantasy points and is getting 14 targets a week, sell high, obviously. Like, this guy, I didn't even write on my draft board, dude. Oh, my God. Now, the other thing, too, is his breakout game. 2 factors I want to consider here, Johnny, because I'm doing this on September 25th at 11 a.m. 11:28 a.m. as I'm saying this. Did Andy Dalton just lock this? Because Bryce Young looks horrible. And that's number 1. Number 2, I think that an underrated sneaky defense to go go against and unlock is the Seattle Seahawks because they don't play any man, they play zone. And when you have a veteran presence who knows where the open zones are going to be, that's going to be amazing. What I mean by that, mister, is let's cut spade to spade. Week 1, Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell break out against what defense? The Seattle Seahawks defense. Week number 2, Johnny. Who broke out? Amon-Ra St. Brown went over 100, and who had 2 touchdowns? Josh Reynolds. Why? Because it was zone coverage, and even the slowest MFer can get open in zone, not man coverage. What happened this week? DJ Chark and Adam Thielen have probably the best games they're ever going to have as Carolina Panthers, to be honest. So, yeah, that's going to be my stance. If this guy continues this right now, I get you unlock these dudes, but whatever. Okay, Johnny, we're gonna have a talk. You need to bench Elijah Moore or cut Elijah Moore. Marquise Brown needs to be in your starting lineup. I tried to tell you, Josh Dobbs isn't a terrible quarterback for wide receivers. Kincaid is an upside play. Now, okay, we're gonna talk about this guy, Courtland Sutton. I can't believe I'm saying this, but this guy might be a low-end wide receiver too, because his floor looks pretty solid. Now, I think, I don't know if you like this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't take anything that happened in the Miami game seriously because they were getting blown out. Granted, they still suck, so they might get blown out again, but Courtland Sutton, look at this. Vegas, he caught a touchdown, which was his floor. His floor is, 9 points. And I think if he hits, he's 17. He's not like that 20-point guy. Cam Akers, look, wishful thinking in Minnesota. Kareem Hunt, I understand. You want some familiarity with that guy. Elijah Mitchell got 5 points. The Zeke pickup was interesting, Jay, and I'm going to be honest with you. For a guy that I hate on old people, I don't mind this pickup. Ramondre Stevenson has not looked very good. I'm not saying he's going to overtake Ramondre Stevenson, but he's going to cut into his workload significantly. Zay Jones, I know, is your guy, but whatever. Baltimore D, whatever. So, okay. You've proven me wrong a little bit. The guys I was wrong about. So here's, okay. For now, I am the jury is still out on Rachaad White because he had one terrible game, had one good game, and then we'll see what he does against Philly. So if he does good against Philly, I'll apologize to Rachaad White. You might not look at it this way, and I'm not saying DJ Moore is a bust, but he's boomer bust. Hell yeah, I was wrong on Adam Thielen. You know what? I'll take the L on Adam Thielen. I'll take the L on, I guess, Nico Collins. Not Rachaad White yet. The dubs, the guys I was right about, positive and good. Courtland Sutton, I did think that he was going to be the leading guy in Denver. Granted, Judy's back, but at what cost? And I was right about Elijah Moore. He's nothing more. That guy has cost me $400, dude, since last year. I can't anymore with this guy. He's on the hate list. Okay. Johnny, I think permanently the starting lineup is going to look very Johnny-esque. I think what's going to happen is because now Adam Thielen becomes intriguing unless you sell him. Marquise Brown's got to be there every week because I do think that you finally realize Elijah Moore. I think, though, where you're going to get really agitated with is deciding between the combination of Nico Collins, Elijah Moore, Marquise Brown, Courtland Sutton. You might play based on matchup, but it's tough. So if there's one person you got to thank, it's funny because you don't ever thank this guy, but it's Harsh. He basically said, dude, don't count out his management moves. And you know what? He's right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's your commish speaking. We are in the top 6. That's right, you heard me. Top 6 players, owners, and whatnot. How do I see the top 6 breaking out? How do I see this? Well, we're going to start with none other than number 6. Man who's 2-1. And to believe it or not, one of the deepest teams as far as startable caliber players are right now. I'm talking about international. Jones. Andre Jones. Now, Mr. Jones, you know, I'm filming this 12:31 on a Monday, so the Eagles game has not played yet against the Buccaneers. So I don't know the status if Mike Evans went off, if he got shut down, or if Godwin had anything, but I don't think it changes because you have both of them. So Tua, probably one of the best values at quarterbacks. You got him, baby. I like that. Why else am I high on this team? Well, CeeDee Lamb was a value, and I think Devontae Adams I knew was going to fall because of the risk is not his talent. It's if the Raiders start sucking, which right now they're 1-2. When does he start to bitch? I just don't know what the incentive is unless he's flat out going there for pride and saying, "Yo, I want to show that I'm still the best receiver in the league." I don't know. CeeDee Lamb was a big question mark as to why he fell though. Guys like Chris Olave were taking over him. AJ Brown was taking over him. Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'll be honest. I think I had them back to back in my rankings. I think I had Lamb higher than Amon-Ra just because Lamb has proven it time and time again. CeeDee Lamb is a guy who's inconsistent, but he's good. I think out of the receivers that went before him, I do think that he has the lowest floor of a guy like Cooper Kupp being hurt. I get it, but when I evaluated him, the only thing was like I didn't know how consistent he was going to be. He's kind of more of a boomer bust wide receiver one than he is an actual one. His floor is kind of like 9 to 10, but like he can have 20 points or more in a game anytime. Yeah, but I don't know what his floor is. That's the thing. We don't know yet. Bijan Robinson, I think, had this guy. Now, Atlanta actually has a good run blocking scheme, but if had this guy actually had a competent head coach and went to anywhere else as a running back, well, not, I don't want to say anywhere else, but certain things, I think this guy right now could rank inside the RB3. But the fact of the matter is this: he is splitting time with Tyler Algier, and it's not significant enough to get him out of the RB1 conversation, but he is more on the low end RB1 than he is actual like elite RB1. So Bijan, I think better days are on the horizon, but the thing I think we're just gonna have to make a rule of thumb. I think you're gonna hear a lot of fantasy analysts say this, right? Every Atlanta Falcons player, as long as Arthur Smith is the coach, will not have a very good floor. I just think at this point, it's just a whole bunch of inconsistency. Like it's literally I hate to go this route, but we're starting to look at the Atlanta Falcons as a whole. Like, if those guys don't get a touchdown, they are going to have bad weeks. Nobody, as of right now, the data that I'm seeing, because they're splitting in way too many guys, not just the running backs, the receivers. I don't know what the floor like. The floor is not that good for any Falcons player. Gonna flat out tell you that. A guy that I thought you got at a value, but I'm starting to sour on a little bit is Ramondre Stevenson. I'm going to say it right now. He does not look like a lead back. I don't know if maybe it was an injury. Ezekiel Elliott looked good against the Jets. He did not. I think that as a pure runner, I don't think this is his calling card. He might be a guy. I'm going to flat out tell you right now. This should be a guy who should be shopped around in the market. I don't know if anybody's going to buy him, but this is a guy I would look to sell. The only issue is the guy behind him is also a guy that is pure dust. Najee Harris. Look, I'm just going to tell you this right now. 19 rushes for 65 yards. Those are Rachaad White numbers. And if you know me, I do not like Rachaad White. It's not very good. So I think when I look at it, I think Tua is great. I mean, if you have any piece of the Dolphins offense, you feel good about your team. Bijan Robinson, I have faith in. Ramondre Stevenson worries me a little bit, though, because granted, it was the Jets, and you can't run against the New York Jets. But if he is going to decrease in value, I don't know. We have also not seen Ezekiel Elliott steal goal line touches yet, and I think that's also going to come. I think some people might say better days are ahead. I disagree. I think this is the guy you need to get off your team because I think you can get stuff for him. Najee Harris, nobody's going to want that bum. Mike Evans, look, I mean, I thought it was a reach. You wound up getting him and you wound up getting Chris Godwin. Mike Evans, dude, turning back the clock, man. It is so funny that receivers in their 30s are on pace for career years. Adam Thielen, Keenan Allen, and now Mike Evans. I'm pretty sure there's somebody else that I missed. Lockett isn't, but I'm not hating on my boy Tyler Lockett by any means, but some of these guys are turning back the clock, man. It's interesting to see this. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Evans looks like a great pick. Godwin is what Godwin has been, but I think his floor is a lot lower with Baker than it is Tom Brady, and that's kind of what's expected. I think Godwin and Tyler Lockett, to me, they have very, very, very low floors. Unfortunately, it's kind of your move as a manager to determine who you're going to put in. If you're just going to say, fuck it, Buccaneers can't run, and they're going to air it with Baker Mayfield, okay, yeah, fine, starting both Evans and Godwin. My only concern is I always have this theory with starting two receivers on the same team, unless it's like Miami, Cincinnati, Chargers, I guess, too. This year's Chargers. Well, RIP Mike Williams. Hopefully he gets better. But I don't know. Like, if Mike Evans goes off, that probably means Godwin. I haven't seen them in sync yet. It's my only thing I'm going to throw out there. The bench. There are a lot of... Oh, by the way, Evan Ingram, I think, had his best game. And I'm going to be honest, he might have better days coming up ahead. Reason being, Calvin Ridley looks like he's dinged up from that Kansas City game. He did not look good last week. Christian Kirk, I think, is primary slot, and Zay Jones is hurt. I think they need to rely on Evan Ingram a lot more, so that would be a really good pick. Going on the bench, Tyler Lockett. Well, his floor is a lot lower than it was in the years past. I mean, it's 2, 21, 6. I know some people say, well, this has always been Tyler Lockett's game, but I completely disagree. And then as I go down, you have Geno on the bench. It's fine. I'm going to say something that's going to sound really ridiculous, but I think Brian Robinson as an RB2, if you sell Ramondre Stevenson, that's probably what I would do. I would try to sell Ramondre for a receiver and just start Brian Robinson, hoping that Bijan becomes the guy you drafted. I think, I don't want to say it, but at this point, I would not be at all shocked if Brian Robinson had more fantasy points this season than come Ramondre Stevenson. I know it's a hot take. I know it's a very, very hot take, but Brian Robinson has showed no signs of Antonio Gibson ever getting this job back. He's not the best runner by all means, but they're treating him like the lead guy. And you know what's even more impressive with Brian Robinson? They're giving him targets. I know he didn't have any in the Buffalo game. The Arizona game he had, okay, not that it's saying much, 2 targets. Denver's run defense just flat out sucks. So I think if you want to scratch out that 27-point performance, that's fine. But I do think that they trust him a lot more. I mean, we knew that coming in too, by the way. Michael Thomas, the fact that he made it past week 3, I mean, is great. But this guy, again, he's like Chris Godwin. He's a floor guy. Ty Chandler, unfortunately, I think this handcuff can get cut now with Cam Akers being signed. The X factor you have on the team is Roschon Johnson, and love the talent. The fact that they already made Donta Foreman a healthy scratch. Right now, it's still Khalil Herbert, but until they really get in tank mode, I think they're going to unleash this guy. My only issue is that the Bears are so goddamn awful. Like, they fall behind so much that they don't run the ball. And unfortunately, I think that kills both the value of Roschon and Khalil Herbert. I don't expect the Bears to fix it anytime soon. If there is one week to get hyped up about Roschon Johnson, I would say it's this week. They get the Denver Broncos. And what did I just say about the Denver Broncos run defense? This could be the breakout week that I think a lot of people are hoping for. But as of right now, other than the Green Bay game, which was, like we talked about, garbage time, he's still, I think, the number 2. But by season's end, if he does not take the job from Khalil Herbert, I think that's just bad management and coaching, straight up. And then defense, you're kind of playing by matchup. It's not a bad team, Andre. The thing that I think would get me a little bit more excited is if there was some explosiveness either at the wide receiver 2 spot or that last flex. But I also think that the explosiveness, it's hit or miss. I think at this point you can't even start Najee Harris. I think Lockett should be started, and Brian Robinson, just to keep it, either you sell him or whatnot. I don't know, but just keep in mind with that. Oh man, I will hold myself accountable for a lot of crap that I say, and this is a public apology because wow. And I think we need to start talking about there's a harsh curse where the team that he thinks is the best gets cursed, this, that, the other, the championship curse, first to worst. That's happened 2 years. It might look like 3 years. And the team that I just flat out hate beyond belief, that I make a statement about, starting to show symptoms of life. And boy, oh boy, look, I said I was going to keep the same energy, but like, holy crap. I'm keeping the same energy, by the way, on 2 people on your team because I was right about that. Everything else, it looks like I was dead wrong on. So, yeah, not bad for the worst drafted team, right? David Krier, you're at the number 5 spot, buddy. Wow. I don't know if this is anything you expected. And if it was, amazing. Absolutely amazing. I mean, I don't know how you did this. Can I start with the negatives before I actually come around to the team a little bit? Okay, your first 2 picks I absolutely hated, and I'm keeping the same energy with both of them. Now, I know you don't like hearing me talk about your team. I'm going to get the negative energy out of the way, and then we'll talk positives about it. Let's get the negative energy that way. Josh Jacobs looks like poo-poo. I don't think he's coming anywhere close to what he did last year. The only positive thing you could say about Josh Jacobs right now is the fact that he's getting the workload. He's just not producing with it, though. Derrick Henry's done, dude. I've been trying to tell you this for a while, and the signs were there last year. I don't know who. I think Patrick had him last year. And I don't know if you listen to my podcast because I know you're like, okay, I don't want to listen to Nick anymore. I get it. The guy was on a steady decline, dude. And unfortunately, dude, honestly, if you could trade him for a bag of chips, I probably would take it. I know you're gonna say, dude, what are you talking about? The only thing you could say to kind of calm those nerves down, he's had 2 of the 3 matchups have been tough. New Orleans was a touch matchup. Chargers were not, and he got 17 points. It was okay. Cleveland, ugh, 2 points. That was a tough matchup. Look on the horizon, Cincinnati and Indianapolis, he should have a little bit of breathing room. Baltimore, and then he gets a bye. And then it looks like shit opens up, but I've got no faith in this guy, dude. I don't think he can do it anymore. The offense looks putrid. The offensive line is god awful. I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to sound harsh, and I know, no pun intended, because Harsh has this guy. But if you were to get offered DK Metcalf or Henry, I would do it in a heartbeat. Harsh would never do that, though. I might even, dude, a guy on Johnny's team, too. By the way, sell them to Johnny, because Johnny actually believes this guy is still pretty good. But like I would trade like a potential mystery wide receiver like a Tank Dell on something else for Derrick Henry. I would do that. Those are the 2 things I hated about your team because you're supposed to build your core around that. And right now, I'm right on that. Here's where I'm wrong. Kirk Cousins, I was not factoring in that the Vikings are absolutely horrendous on the defensive side of the ball and they can't run the ball, which means that they're going to throw a lot. Probably means that Kirk Cousins has a potential to finish top 3 in the league for passing yardage and fantasy points for a quarterback. I was wrong about that. TJ Hawkinson, not taking a step back. Wrong about that. He has one of the. No, you know what? I'm going to say it. I think he actually has the best floor of the tight ends this year. Yeah. For a tight end, 7 points is not a bad floor. 7, 22, and 9, that's solid floor with Mixon upside. Yeah, dude. Good call on that. I mean, I don't like tight ends early, but okay. The receivers. Michael Pittman looking like a draft day steal. This is a guy who underwhelmed last year. Funny thing is, people forget that he had 99 catches. It was the weirdest 99 catch season. He didn't even hit 1,000 yards. Jacksonville, 19 points. Houston, 9, and Baltimore, 12. Looking like a breakout candidate yet again. Post-type sleeper guy. Cooper. Now, if there is one guy you want attached to Deshaun Watson, this is the only guy you should have. He is the focal point of the offense. He is always going to be boomer bust wide receiver 2. That's his calling card. And yes, there's going to be games where Watson looks really, really bad and it's going to affect him. But so far, the setup of what you've done of your two receivers and the two running backs are what I expected. The running backs to not perform their ADP and the receivers to be very boom bust. That's what I called. What I missed on so far, Kirk Cousins being top 3 quarterback. Okay, that's fine. Granted, 3-game sample size, but the Vikings look awful, which means this guy's going to put up insane garbage time numbers. TJ Hawkinson, I did not think would be in my top 5 tight ends this year. That's also pretty wrong on my end. What I did not factor in was how good the flexes would be. And we're starting with Raheem Mostert. Now, I had this guy ranked high in my rankings, and then I pushed back on it because by the time we drafted, I thought Jonathan Taylor would sign here. But unfortunately, Miami and nobody in the NFL smartly would pay a first-round pick for Jonathan Taylor. That's fine. Miles Sanders has looked really bad, but because of the contract that they're giving him, they're going to give him all the work, this, that, the other. Mostert has been an X factor. And then, not to mention, look at this bench. I like it a lot, dude. Okay, do yourself a favor and cut Juju Smith-Schuster, please. I don't know why this guy's even rostered. Gus Edwards is hurt, whatever. You were never going to start the guy anyway. Antonio Gibson, speaking of the devil, you can cut Antonio Gibson. He's garbage too. But the secret weapon hasn't even played yet. And the fact that they're still nursing his hamstring, I like, by the way. Christian Watson. If this guy becomes what everybody is predicting him to be, like myself, you mean to tell me right now that that starting lineup with, granted, I don't like the running back. I'm going to repeat myself a million times. Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs, whatever. They could turn it around. I'm not going to say they're going to be total bust. Turning it around is in their outcome of possibilities. But if you even have like Miles Sanders, get him out of there and put Christian Watson in there, like it's a scary lineup, dude. I'll give you that. Dak Prescott, not impressed. Zamir White, I like as a, I don't even know if I like him, but Jacoby Myers too, dude. The fact that Jimmy G is supporting both him and Devontae Adams, never saw that coming in a million years. New England D, always going to have their good weeks and mediocre weeks, so you take it for what it's worth. Krier, dude, I owe you a big apology, dude. The only thing I'm taking victory laps on as of right now, though, is that your 2 first picks I did not like. Everything else, though, like, solid. What do I think could make this team better? Get Derrick Henry off your team. Like, I think if you got him in a trade for like a good receiver or like a number 2 receiver, I think I would do that in a heartbeat. Yeah, dude. Fuck. Dude, honestly, I'm glad you're proving me wrong, and I actually like it a lot too because me and you are in the same division. We've played each other in week 1, and then we're gonna see each other in December, I think. Or it's no. I think it's November. I haven't looked at the schedule, but I think it's November. And both our teams right now are looking very promising. I'll say that much. So, Mr. Krier, I honestly wish you best of luck. And if you can prove me wrong, man, this would be quite the story. And I know everybody's been against you, and you're feeling that bulletin board material that go out and get yourself a victory. So, dude, I gotta tell you, man, I did not see this coming. And it hasn't even been like, I'm sounding like a broken record. You're probably like, dude, Nick, shut the fuck up and move on. I get it. But I just want to let you know, like, this is not sarcasm by any means. Like, a lot has gone, like, even though you're 1 and 2, a lot is breaking right for you, and I have no idea what's to come. I honestly think that more positive things than negative things. Knock on wood. I think I'm on number 4, so I'm going to flat out tell you right now. Coming in at number 4, standing in at a record of 1 and 2, is the A team. Now, okay. Yahoo's golden child, Robert Coffey, with the A+ draft. Many people thought 3 and 0, and sitting at 1 and 2, you could make the argument. And I'm not just saying this because of the A team narrative, but you can make the argument. One could say he should either be 2 and 1, or if you look on the flip side, somebody should say, hey, yo, this guy could honestly still be 0 and 3. This is a hard team to make out, but as a fellow 0 RB truther, I am expressing a lot of optimism with the A team. A team, let's talk about what's going on with you right now, okay? So, first and foremost, I want to give this man props. I did text him. So, if you're Rob, obviously you're listening. I don't know if anybody else is listening to this, but if you are, Thanks for sticking around. The CJ Stroud pickup. I'm going to tell you right now, probably one of the pickups of the year when we look back at it. I chickened out on the motherfucker. Dude, I really did. I spent $44 on Daniel Jones instead of going CJ Stroud. And honestly, dude, CJ Stroud, yeah, the guy you were not big on coming out of the draft, might have saved. Your season's not dead by any means, but may have given you new life, dude. Because Burrow, I don't know what's going on there. CJ Stroud, unbelievable. I think the guy's got a decent floor. Let's look at what else is going on, baby. By the way, we can all agree that the Texans are about to be Harsh's new favorite team, correct? All in favor, hands up. Okay, yeah, everybody, okay. Justin Jefferson is fine. We don't need to talk much about that. Okay, Christian Kirk. Coffey, you win. Calvin Ridley looking hurt, not looking like himself. Christian Kirk gonna bottle up all those freaking targets. Yeah, I'm not making this up, guys. I think that the cop out in fantasy football is when you got two guys in a very, very friendly pass offense, take the cheaper guy, right? If you can't decide, and Coffey gets this victory. That's a victory lap that Coffey's going to take right now. Coffey, you told me about early victory laps. There's yours. Okay, I'm gonna say it right now. Brees Hall, coaching staff doesn't trust his health, and with Zach Wilson back there, I understand that he went against Dallas. I understand that he went against Buffalo, and I understand he went against New England. I get it, but this guy's not going to do anything until week 5 against Denver. Just telling you. If David Montgomery comes back, I think this team is really good. We have clearly seen now that Jahmyr Gibbs is only being used in specific plays and packages, which means David Montgomery might be Chicago Bears David Montgomery with a better offensive line, which then includes that his touchdown total is going to go up, which means that he could flirt with, I can't say RB1 numbers, but low-end RB or high-end RB2. Darren Waller looking like a bust, and I think that's because he's not healthy. Okay, so another thing that we'll have to see against the Tampa Bay game tonight, because I am recording this at 12:56 on Monday. Devonta Smith. Again, Coffey, your rule. As of right now, you can give him the dub. Take the cheaper guy on a team if you're deciding between two guys. And Devonta Smith has looked the part. But you know I love A.J. Brown still. Okay. Speaking of the best value of the picks in the draft, Devontae Adams. 13 for 172 and 2 touchdowns on 20 freaking targets. Well, here's the thing. You're not selling Devontae Adams, but they get the Chargers on the schedule, which could be a win. If the Raiders are up close or around 500, he's not going to bitch. But then let's see what else we got. Green Bay. You know what? Week 5, Green Bay, that could also be a win. New England's going to be a loss, though. I can tell you that much. Chicago could be a win. Detroit on Monday night at Detroit. I don't know if they beat that game. Giants, we'll see how they get in the second half. Jets is a win. Miami lost. Kansas City lost. You know what? And their bye isn't until week 13. Dude, this might be the best pick of the draft. I don't think, as of right now, they're 1-2. We know that the Chargers like to charge. So, yeah. Okay. Joe Burrow. Well, unfortunately, we don't know what's happening there as of right now. It's either IR or they're going to play around with him, and that's not what you like to see. Okay. Coffee, take a seat because you're going to need to hear something from me. Yes, I know you are probably very excited now with Mike Williams tearing his ACL. Not for that standpoint, but what is Quentin Johnson really made of? Well, Coffee, I can tell you this much. Would you consider yourself an NFL caliber route runner? I'm going to give you 2 seconds to answer. 1, 2. Chances are you said the answer was no. Quentin Johnson, probably a nice guy and probably has a nice family, but as far as being an NFL caliber receiver running routes, no. If we were in a points per gadget play league, Rob Coffey, I think Quentin Johnson would be a first round pick. Look, I understand you're excited, but look, no. Tank Bigsby. He's the goal line guy at least, and if ETN was to go down, he's a lottery ticket. You're waiting for the guy in front of him to go down. Tajay Spears will be unleashed at some point in this season because Derrick Henry's not good. Chuba Hubbard. Miles Sanders, backup. Miles Sanders is still the guy that they trust. I think Chuba is a great backup. So there you go. Josh Reynolds. Do I have to say how much I love this man? Josh Downs. Showing promise, dude. Showing promise. I was not big on Alec Pierce, so by default, if there was a guy I was taking in the passing attack, not that I wanted anything in Indianapolis, Downs due to price would have been my favorite because he was the cheapest guy. And Kansas City. Speaking of Kansas City, this actually might be a startable D the whole season. One of my theories on defenses is play defenses with high-scoring offenses because they're going to be out there and they can create turnovers because the other team is going to have to throw the ball. And look at that schedule. Jets, startable. I still think the Minnesota Vikings game is startable. You might not, but I do. Denver, startable. Chargers, not startable. Denver again. Wow, dude, you might have to keep this defense, Coffey. Rob, like my team and your team, we had similar philosophies. I think you have 2 top 5 receivers. Devonta Smith could be a top 10. Christian Kirk, as long as he's getting the volume, you'll be just fine. But like you and me, we just need one starter caliber running back. Yours is David Montgomery. The only difference is I'm only putting the reason why I put myself in front of you, and I know you were humble about your rankings because I know that's how you are. You don't want to jinx shit and whatnot. And I know you put myself in front of you. You do have better, I think, more lottery tickets than I do. I think the only lottery ticket guy that I think would actually be an RB2 based on workload would be Charbonnet. I think that Warren is good in the role that he's in, and I have to start him for the time being. But like, if I look at your roster, considering, okay, so you got Bigsby might be a guy. Chuba Hubbard has proven he can take on a heavy workload. So I think that's where I differ, and not to mention the fact that I think between our starting 4 wide receivers, it's very, very similar. Like our flex guy could either be boom or bust, and our starting 3 are pretty nice. But I have more confidence, I think, in the quarterback thing. But it just came between record. But lot to move forward. I'll look forward to. Dude, look at this. This is why. Okay, if you hit on the wow, I said white. No, right wide receivers. Okay, such as Justin Jefferson, Christian Kirk, Devonta Smith, Devonta Adams, and you don't have a running backs, like his floor, he's about to get projected 133 tonight. Impressive indeed. So interesting enough, there are not 1, not 2, 3 teams in the top 6 with losing records at 1 and 2. Well, how could this be? Well, I'm factoring in a lot. Point total, roster construction, and what happens in the future. And I'm going to be 110% honest. I gave him the new nickname. I know he lost this week. Harsh won the battle at what cost, though, right? David Sutton at number 2, the fantasy football undertaker. Because every time you try to bury this guy, life comes out of him. This is what I mean by that. Where is your team? Because there's a lot I want to talk about it. I'm sure you know about it, but here's the reason why I have you at number 2. Trevor Lawrence, I think, I don't know if he'll be that breakout guy, but he's serviceable enough. The Jags passing attack has been a disappointment, and Lawrence has not looked that great. But I'll be cautious with him. Okay. Gabe Davis, I don't know if you're going to start him anymore or dude, I mean, it's touchdown or nothing with this guy. Tyreek Hill, there was a reason why you wanted to trade 2 first-round picks. You're right. Cheetah's unstoppable. And that offense, unstoppable. Now, when we look at the running backs, dude, you lost J.K. Dobbins, but you gained James Cook, I think, is very serviceable. Kyren Williams is your definition of, yo, just give this guy volume, and he looks great. Honestly, I would trade for Kyren Williams, by the way. I think he might be an RB2 rest of the season. Sam Laporta Potty might be better than Kyle Pitts. By the way, you can cut Kyle Pitts now. Javonte Williams has been a bust. I think everything in Denver, with the exception of, I think, Cortland Sutton, has been pretty much bust worthy. Tutu Atwell right now, you are going to start him every week. The reason why we're high on this team, Hopkins no good. Romeo Dobbs, he's going to be impossible to figure out. Because especially with Christian Watson coming back, I know Jordan Love is the number 2 ranked fantasy or 3 fantasy quarterback, and he's looked really, really competent, and I'm happy that he's actually having a good season. But I don't know if I would ever feel confident starting Romeo Dobbs. I'm just not about it. I know you're big on him, but realistically, unless you have injuries, he's a fill-in guy. Robert Woods, you can cut him. Jerick McKinnon. This is depth for running back, and I love it. Justice Hill, I told you that was not a good pick. I think you should just let it go. Allen Robinson, not worth it. But why are we high on this team? Because Cooper Kupp is there. The fact of the matter is this. If the Rams were 0-2, David, I'm going to tell you right now, I would not be big on this team. Because I do think there would be no incentive for Cooper Kupp to come back if they were 0-2, 0-3. The fact that they're competitive, the fact that most likely they're going to win tonight and become 2-1, means that they are pushing for the playoffs. And how do they get to the playoffs? With their best player on the field, you have their RB1 and their wide receiver 1 when he comes back. That roster then looks like Tyreek Hill, Gabe Davis, James Cook, Kyren Williams, Sam Laporta, Cooper Kupp, and then you figure out the rest from there. We've seen it time and time again. When you guys have wide receiver 1s, man, they can make up for a lack of RB2 or last flex, and I think it's beautiful. Oh, and every year I feel like you got Philly defense. The thing that it's funny because your lottery ticket is Cooper Kupp. His health determines if this team is going to go places or not. And if they rest him for a long, long, long time, that's good shit. I think the bench, with the exception of, I don't know what to do with Dobbs. I think he's just a fill-in player. Like Tutu Atwell, you will always keep on your roster because you're going to view him as Cooper Kupp handcuff. The fact that I don't know when you picked up all those Rams guys. The fact that you did do that, though, man, I had no interest in any of these fuckers at all. Dude, and now they're all really good. Props to you, dude. By the way, I also love how they keep the Robert Woods Rams jersey on, the really nice looking Rams jersey on him for his headshot. They're like, no, dude, we can't do Robert Woods bad like that. We got to remember him from the good old days. All right, Kyle Pitts. I think when it comes down to it, I don't know if you're ever going to start DeAndre Hopkins anymore. Kyle Pitts probably never going to stop. And I think that last flex is going to be between Javonte Williams and Hopkins. No, not Hopkins. Who was I looking at? Romeo Dobbs. But if Cooper Kupp comes back, there's a lot to like about this team. I think Cook and Kyren Williams as boomer bust. Well, Cook I think is a boomer bust RB2, but I think that Kyren Williams might be Flory, and the fact that you have that to go with Hill and Cooper Kupp, it's just a matter of David if you can figure out your flexes, and I'll give you all the props in the world, brother. Looks solid. Well, we're here, and for the first, I don't know if it's quarter or whatever, but the first 3 weeks of the season, I was trying to do something creative. There's only one team left that's undefeated, and deservedly so. Number one, every time I think of this team, I think of the Dennis Green snippet of he is who we thought he was, and we let him off the hook because you cannot let Allen Williams off the hook in September. Now, Allen Williams, I know the master plan that you always cook up is one of these years, not only do you want a Super Bowl, but the path to the Super Bowl, you want to have that first round bye. Now, David Sutton lets you off the hook once. So somebody might argue this team could be 2-1. Look, we're not here to play what ifs, this, that, the other. The bottom line is this. I love this draft coming out. I think I had you ranked as my third favorite team or second. I don't remember which one it was. But if you're hearing me correctly, baby. There's a lot to love here. Now, speaking of, I do think that in your division, I think it's obviously a 3-team race, and everybody's got a winning record except for Harsh. So when we when we talk about this, sorry, Jordan Love, dude, like you were high on this guy. I didn't think that he would be ranked a top 3. Now in real life, like I think his numbers are gonna come down, but Jordan Love's look he I'm loving love. Thank you. Um, Jordan Addison will get going soon. I think it's a matter of time, especially with the Vikings being so bad. They're gonna have to see what they have in him. Puka Nakua. Now, I actually think that he'll still have a role. You can sell him to me. I love this guy strictly because of his name. He's amazing. The K9, probably one of the best value picks in the draft is Kenneth Walker. Now, he has still looked very inefficient on some runs, but then you look at the talent when he bounces it to the outside. He looks great. Now, I do think right now he is the 22nd ranked player in fantasy football. And I do think that eventually there's going to be a timeshare between him and Zach Charbonnet. And I do think that they're going to have a 1-2 punch because that's what Pete Carroll wants to do. But as of right now, my friend, I like what I see. Keandre Miller is a handcuff to Alvin Kamara, which we'll get to in a second. Luke Musgrave, dude, every time I watch the Packers, man, Jordan Love is always like so close to hitting Luke Musgrave on their big play. They haven't connected, man. Musgrave, I think I was looking at something, his points per expected for tight ends. And he always misses them wide open, too. That's the creative. Like, it's weird because, like, Jordan Love has been really good, but I feel like he can't connect with Luke Musgrave. Travis Etienne. Now, I love this guy. The fact that he's being used in the passing game and he was splitting work with Michael Hasty, that's not a thing anymore. Get Etienne the ball. He is a playmaker. Boom, bing, bang, boom. Love him. Jamar Chase, well, okay. If there's one thing you regret, it's you picked the wrong LSU boy, but it's okay. He's still an elite talent. Now, why are we still high on Alan Williams? Well, Alan Williams is doing this 3-0, and we have not seen this yet. Now, by the way, can you please start shit talking a lot more, dude? I'm the only one carrying this shit, and I don't know where you're at, but I think you're being humble because you think that the humbler you get, the more chances of a title, but that's not you. That is not you, buddy. That's like saying Vince McMahon becomes like a face. Nah, dude. Look at the bench. Jaden Reed. Okay, so I think right now he's good, but what happens when Christian Watson comes back? Marvin Mims. Did somebody say Britannia, bitch? I think that Sean Payton is not liking this guy very much. I think he's a deep threat, situational deep threat. Somebody said his most comparable is young Tyler Lockett, and I could see it. I think you would actually like that. Um, okay. Sorry, I just got a text. Hold on. I'm sorry, I'm getting off track. What else do I like? Jahmyr Gibbs hasn't really had a good role yet, but I don't think this guy's a bust by any means. JSN, unfortunately, I think that this guy is only going to be relevant if one of the other two guys gets hurt. But look what's on the bench. Alvin Kamara, we still haven't seen. A. Rich, for whatever reason, I don't know why you have both him and Jordan Love, but the depth, you want security, man. You told me at the beach, man, I need a quarterback. I need a substantial quarterback play. Cleveland Browns, you can thank me for dropping them, and I spent like a hefty penny on them too. Some might say they might be the best defense in the entire fucking league, bitch. Dude, bottom line is I love this team. Okay, there's a reason why it's number one. You're doing this, and you don't even have everybody at their fullest potential yet. That's impressive. Allen, I told you this right now. If I'm going to, I said, if I go to Vegas and I say, which kid is going to get their ring who doesn't have one, you are always my first bet because I've seen what you do. Okay. This, that, and the other. I'm just going to flat out say, Allen, dude, well deserved. I'm looking forward to see what the master plan comes out to be because I know I know you have Belichickian tendencies with your lineups and this, that, and the other, and you always try to get in people's heads rent free. But I can't use Belichickian tendencies without that ring yet. But like you're on to something, man. Like it's like you're on to something. I don't know who I would compare you as, but you're on to something.
Yo, 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 yo. The first matchup that's coming up. A new look. Two. Well, no, one team made a different trade. Paul is off the schneid, and he decides he needs to make a move. A new look Paul per call team is taking on Mr. International Jones. Jones got his first loss of the season, while Paul got his first win of the season. Something's got to give, boys. Will the new moves help out Paul? Let's find out. Mr. Percall. I think I know who you're going at RB2. I'm assuming it's Matt Breida. Wow. Oh, yikes. Yeah, I guess it's Matt Breida. I'm just going to go based on what you have right now. The MVP candidate, Tua Tagovailoa versus Patrick Mahomes. Well, I can tell you this much. The fact that Tua is playing in Buffalo in September and not December bodes well for the outcome right now. Patty Mahomes goes to the New York Jets. Look, say what you want about how good the Jets defense is. Mahomes is still going to get his 20-something regardless. Buffalo's D has stepped up, but Buffalo's D has not played an offense like the Miami Dolphins. Now, believe it or not, I think that Tua might have top 2 quarterback potential in his range of outcomes if this keeps up. I know that Buffalo D looks scary in the matchup columns. I'm not scared. The only thing I will say, though, is Raheem Mostert, I think, granted, he's been amazing so far. I think he has another big game here. Am I taking Tua over Mahomes? Probably not. So I'm going to say a wash. I think Tua is predicted at 23. I think after this week, they're going to realize this guy's floor should be 26 like it is with Mahomes. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Okay, so we're going to throw it out here right now. Paul and Andre. It's Mike Evans versus Marshawn Lattimore week, which means a fight's going to happen, which means that Mike Evans is going to get pissed because he's getting shut down like he always does against him. Mike Evans will be a dud. Chris Godwin will have his best game of the season. Chris Godwin will get you 12 points. Mike Evans will get you 4. On the flip side, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Cortland Sutton. New look Paul team with Cortland Sutton in there. Yikes. Okay, Sutton against the Bears should be absolutely fine. Somebody's got to win that game. Amon-Ra St. Brown in the slot in that game. Well, they usually don't have guys shadow. And Jair Alexander, I know, goes in the slot a ton, but I don't know if he's going to shadow Amon-Ra St. Brown. But you know what? I'm going to go the Paul side. Bijan in London against Jacksonville versus with Ramondre Stevenson against Dallas versus James Cook and a running back to be named. I think James Cook has a big game. Maybe not 20 points, but I'll say 15, 16. Bijan Robinson in London. Give it to me, baby. And Ramondre Stevenson, by the way, this guy should be sold immediately. Andre, if you listened, I would sell him as soon as possible. He doesn't look good. But even with that being said, I'm going to take the Bijan side because if it's Matt Breida, at least Ramondre Stevenson will at least get 8 points. I don't know what Matt Breida might do. Evan Ingram, with the pass catchers in Jacksonville looking very, very shaky, or Travis Kelce, Paul, Taylor Swift is in the building, Travis Kelce. CeeDee Lamb and Najee Harris versus Alexander Madison and Terry McLaurin. Well, Madison is going to keep the starter gig for now. CeeDee Lamb against New England. I don't know what I feel about this. This makes me nervous, and I'll tell you why. This matchup makes me nervous. The Belichick factor. Belichick is going to have to take out CeeDee Lamb because nobody else does anything on this team other than CeeDee Lamb. I'm a little bit nervous here. I think that Pollard might have some running room, but I think Lamb is going to get keyed on. Remember the game when they had 2 years ago when it was Cooper? Cooper got shut down and Lamb had that game-winning touchdown. Well, they don't have Amari Cooper anymore, so Lamb's going to be the guy to get spotlighted. Najee Harris against Houston, dude. Najee Harris can go against the worst run defense of all time, and he still won't do anything. That 10 points is being very generous. He'll get 7.78. And Alexander Madison against Carolina. Well, Carolina was absolutely ran over by the Canine and who's the other fucker? With Jack Charbonnet. And Terry McLaurin against Philly. Yeah, I don't want any part of that. Sam Howell under pressure. He is about to break David Carr's 2005 Texans record when he was sacked the most out of any single quarterback of all time in a single season. Yikes. Who am I picking now? Because I really hate both of these options. Um, Boys, this is a cop out, but I'm going to go by the best players available, and I'll go, oh, God. I almost threw up in my mouth. CeeDee Lamb's side. Ugh. Jacksonville against Atlanta. Desmond Ritter looking like poo poo. Jacksonville is home in London. They have more fans in London. You bode well for that. But New Orleans getting Baker Mayfield at home. Baker Mayfield versus Jameis Winston. Get your popcorn ready. Paul, that defense is going to make you look good, baby. All right. Put up or shut up. Yikes. I think this has potentials to be a very underwhelming game. I don't think it's going to light up the scoreboard, but the one thing that I can say is Tua will go off, Bijan will get off the schneid, but I really don't have confidence in anybody else based on matchups alone for Andre Jones. And I'm speaking the truth here. As far as Paul's concerned, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown will hit his floor. I think Mahomes is fine and Kelsey will score. Cortland Sutton, I like the matchup, and James Cook. You know what, dude? Paul, I'm picking you in this matchup. This has nothing to do with I think the trades made your team better. I think it is solely based on the fact that the stack that you traded for will hit, and I think that the other guys might be very, very serviceable as well. Oh, and you know what else is going to piss off Andre? New Orleans D. I think New Orleans D has a very significant advantage over Jacksonville. Paul, congrats. Well, 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 well. All right, let's talk about this matchup because two of these guys started out 0-2 and they got their first win of the season. Yes, I'm talking about the Von Conquerors versus Purdy White. By the way, David, what is the significance of your team name? I'm literally trying to figure out what it is. I have no idea. All right, let's get to it. One of these teams thinks that their season's already done for. The other, dude, this narrative is setting up really, really bad for me. Okay, Kirk Cousins at Carolina versus Justin Herbert. Look, Eckler probably is going to be out. I know Cousins has been amazing. That's cool, but I'm going to go Justin Herbert. Michael Pittman Jr. and Amari Cooper versus Chris Olave and Tank Dell. Chris Olave with Jameis Winston. I like what I say. Tank Dell against Pittsburgh. Now, Tank Dell, can I call out this man for a second? I don't like Tank Dell. Who's starting as your wide receiver, too? Yeah. Yikes. No, I'm just kidding. It's all right. Michael Pittman Jr., a guy that I think nobody wanted that is probably making everybody pay. And speaking of a guy nobody else really was big on, Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is the only Cleveland Brown pass catcher that is safe starting every single week. I think a lot of people bought way too much into the Elijah Moore hype, way too much into the Donovan People-Jones late hype, and the Njoku hype. When in reality, King Coop is still the guy there. Okay, so you get Pittman against the Rams. That's okay. Amari Cooper against Baltimore should be fine. I think that they'll both get around 12 to 13 points. But I think Olave's matchup and Dell's matchup, more Olave's matchup, I like a lot more, even though Jameis could throw some picks. But Josh Jacobs against Chargers is a great matchup. Derrick Henry against Cincinnati, no. Zach Moss against the Rams. Dude, he's getting all the fucking carries. Dameon Pierce against Pittsburgh. Yeah, I'm not a Dameon Pierce guy, Harsh. Try to tell you this. Dude, I mean, honestly, the volume's going to be there for both these running backs, and I'm going to say a wash. I honestly think for David to win this battle, I think one of them's got to have 2 touchdowns. I don't see it. Excuse me. TJ Hawkinson has been great. Or Harsh, what do you see in Jake Ferguson? Like, am I missing something here? Yeah, I'm completely missing something. So you're gonna have to text me on that. Give me Hawkinson. Miles Sanders, okay, he's treated like the bell cow, but he has been horrible. But Minnesota Vikings, not a good defense. So you got to wonder, maybe this is the week. Raheem Mostert, okay, Fantasy's RB1 against the Buffalo Bills. I love that matchup alone. Harsh, I'm sorry. But I think Mostert alone might outproduce both Garrett Wilson and Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers, I know you like this move, but I think this is very floor esque. Um, I'm not I'm not big on everything's very underneath. It's I hate to say it harsh, but I think you literally traded for Elijah Moore in a Ravens uniform. New England D against Dallas or Pittsburgh against Houston. Well, Pittsburgh will sack CJ Stroud at least 5 times, but I think that CJ Stroud will at least connect on a deep ball or two. So, that being said, I got to pick a winner. Well, oh, and by the way, I think Christian Watson might play, but I don't know if he plays in David's lineup yet. David, I know you're trying to reverse jinx and say, "Oh, I'm going to lose again," but I have all the faith in the world in your team right now. This is not even me like trying to like reverse curse, dude. There's a lot of shit I like on this team. Well, I got to be 110% honest with you guys on this one. Sorry, I'm fooling around over here and shit. Who do we got? Who's this? Tigers? Rob Coffey? B-Magic? Okay. Yep. Two guys that have restructured their teams. Coffey's probably a little bit more happy that he don't have to go against Mahomes. CJ Stroud, Coffey, I love it. Versus Brock Purdy. Purdy's at home against Arizona. CJ Stroud at home against Pitt. I like both these guys. I don't know if I don't think these guys have 30-point potential, but Purdy might be the safer play. JJ, Christian Kirk, Debo Samuel, Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley has been terrible the last 2 weeks. Maybe he's hurt. Debo Samuel looked great, but again, B-Magic, if Brandon Ayuk plays, I'm not big on Debo Samuel. I think he's very floored. It's hard for me to figure out. So, yeah, you got to worry about that. Justin Jefferson can go off, and Christian Kirk is looking like the receiver to own in Jacksonville. Give me the Coffey side. Brees Hall, Coffey, I hate to say it, but I really do. But I think this pick might go down as a bust pick because the Jets look like crap, and it's Zach Wilson's fault. David Montgomery, if he plays against Green Bay, that is a great matchup, Rob Coffey. And the fact that Jahmyr Gibbs hasn't looked that great means David Montgomery looks like a weak winner. Tony Pollard or Joe Mixon. Now he boosted up his RB2. Okay. Pollard against New England, I think will have space. I don't think he'll score, though. Joe Mixon against Tennessee. Tennessee is a very good run defense. I almost said dog shit, but they're not. Hey, baby. Let me get Montgomery. Ugh. This is so gross. Because I have literally no faith in Brees Hall and I have no faith in Joe Mixon. So I'm gonna say wash. Don't have a strong lean here, guys. Darren Waller, looking like a bust, and George Kittle. Well, the fact that you're stacking Purdy with both guys, if Ayuk is out, you have a great stack. But Kittle is barely used that often. You know what? Screw it, George Kittle. Devonta Smith against Washington. This looks like it can set up for a big game, especially because they overdid AJ Brown last week. We all knew it was coming. Coffey knew it was coming too. Devontae Adams versus DJ Mc. Oh, Josh Palmer getting the start. I love the play. But I'm gonna have to go Devonta and Devonta and Devontae. I didn't even realize that. Versus Dick and Josh. Kansas City gets the Jets. And San Fran versus Arizona. B-Magic, I know you're nervous about somebody facing Zach Wilson, and I would be too. I would be too. Okay. Coffee, how come Quentin Johnston's not getting this done? I'm just kidding. B-Magic. I I think your team got better at depth, but will it be enough? I don't think you can compete with the explosion of Justin Jefferson and Devontae Adams. And if Devonta Smith hits, this is what makes this team special, which is why even though this team has a 1-2 record, some people can make the case he should be 2-1. Others can make the case that he should be 0-3. I think you can look at it either way. I'm more on the positive side just because I know how these teams are constructed and how they're built. Give me Roberto Coffey. You know why I really like this matchup? Because these are two teams that I honestly don't know where I stand on with both of them. Here's the reason being. On the flip side, you have our former champion, Matika, standing in at 2-1 despite losing a player pretty much every single week. On the flip side, you have another former champion, a man whose team I was not very big on. Week 1, kind of expected what happened. Week 2, did not expect what I saw. Kind of was very, very surprised by that. And then in week 3, put up a valiant effort, but did not come up with a win. So I think that we're gonna find out a lot about these teams, especially with trades that were just made. Now, when I look at this, this is an interesting matchup because I think it can go wrong with both these teams. It can go wrong very, very fast with both of these teams, is what I'm saying. And by the way, David, Jacqueline, Johnny, greetings from New Jersey. Hope everything is well in Florida. Okay, here we go. Alex Matika is projected as the underdog against Johnny J. Fresh, the favorite. Lamar Jackson versus Cleveland. Ooh, that could be a low-key scary matchup, except for one fact, Lamar's running will make it up in the end. Versus Joshua Allen at home against Miami. Well, the Miami defense isn't good, but I'm going to tell you right now, I think we're going to see James Cook have the best game of the season, but that's not going to stop Josh Allen from doing Josh Allen things, which means touchdowns and picks. I predict in a high-scoring game, I predict Josh Allen to have 3 touchdowns. I think he's going to have 2 turnovers, 1 pick, 1 fumble, and I think about 68 rushing yards. So that's a lot. I don't think Lamar has 3 touchdown upside in this one. I think he's got 2. So I'm going to go Josh Allen. Jerry Jeudy, who they're starting. The best thing for Jerry Jeudy last week was getting killed so they can kind of ease his way back into comfortability. And guess who's throwing in the ball with and Rashid Shaheed against Tampa Bay. This is the play that would scare the crap out of me, Johnny, because I think the way these rosters are constructed, Matika has got a very flory running back team with sprinkled in upside. And this honestly looks like a David Sutton team of old because Jerry Jeudy and Rashid Shaheed could score a bomb any minute. If Shaheed hits, it counteracts what you're trying to do on offense. And I got news for you. With Winston throwing him the rock, I think him and Olave, Michael Thomas is the odd man out. I love Shaheed. I think he's got a great floor, even though he didn't do it. He's literally the Duvernay replacement of this team last year, dude. Literally, that's what it is. Okay, let's talk about Johnny's team. DJ Moore, oh, dude, absolutely not. You can mark him up for 4 points. And Gabe Davis, okay, I'll give you this one against Miami. I think he'll catch a ball. DJ Moore will be a bust. Pat Surtain, people are going to say, oh, what happened against Tyreek Hill? Guys, for those of you that don't watch football, which a lot of you don't, Mike McDaniel puts them in places where they can't get bumped and run at the line and schemed up. Do we think the Bears can do that with DJ Moore against him? No. The only good news is, though, maybe the Broncos look at the Bears offense and say, dude, what a joke this freaking team is, man. This team sucks. We don't need a shadow. We're going to shut them down with any one of our corners. That could be the case for DJ Moore. Straight the fuck up. Okay, we good? Yeah, who do I have to honestly, man? Wow. I'm going to go Alex. I think Davis is good. I have no faith in DJ Moore. Jeudy, I think will have a good game, and I'm banking. I know it's a hot take, but Rashid Shaheed is gonna piss Johnny off on Sunday, like really, really bad. Wow. Every time I see Jay Ford, I think of Jacoby Ford. Jerome Ford, DeAndre Swift versus Christian McCaffrey and Rashad White. Well, Jerome Ford looks like a very good replacement. He might not as productive as Nick Chubb, but can have the same floor because he gets catching. DeAndre Swift against Washington. So here's the interesting thing here. Rashad White and DeAndre Swift will get volume, but they're against bad run defenses. But when it all comes down to it, or very good run defenses, my apologies. Jerome Ford goes against Baltimore, which is a meh defense. DeAndre Swift, he's looked amazing, guys. I didn't think I was going to see this 2 weeks in a row, but yet here we are. Oh, you're going to get so pissed. I'm taking the Alex Matika side. I think that Ford and Swift, McCaffrey's fine, Johnny. But you know who I don't have any faith in. Dallas Goedert against Washington. This guy's like, no. Mark Andrews against Cleveland. Cleveland's D looking really nice. But I got to take Andrews. Well, if Barkley plays, it's against Seattle, and I think it's a very good matchup. Devon A-Chain. I think what we saw is the best game he'll ever have in his entire career. Granted, that's hard to top when you score 4 touchdowns in a game, but I think people are automatically assuming, oh, he's going to split time. I don't know. Devon A-Chain, to me right now, should be sold, or you at least should be trying to sell him. Buffalo is exploitable in the run, but I still think Mostert in a game that's going to be a divisional competitive game, I think Mostert will be the guy to carry the rock, not Devon A-Chain. Flip side, Nico Collins against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think he bounces back in this one. I think Pittsburgh Nation is raving about Joey Porter because his coverage grade is great. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. Reason why I'm pumping the brakes a little bit on that guy is because he's only been targeted 5 times. So I think some people are looking at him and be like, dude, nobody's throwing his way. Is he this good? I don't know about that. And Patrick Peterson is old. So the fact of the matter is this, Nico Collins, cool. I like him against Pittsburgh, Johnny. Oh my God. Adam Thielen revenge game. Has it really come down to this? What fuckery is this? If Andy Dalton plays, this is a great pick. Bryce Young just does not look NFL ready. Yes, we're at that point, Johnny, where I think that Andy Dalton could unlock Adam Thielen greatness. What? No, this is not a joke. And this is not a bit. But I'm going the Nico Collins, Adam Thielen, because I don't think Barkley plays. And if that's the case, Braxton Berrios or Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to have to be in. Minnesota against Carolina. Well, if it's Bryce Young, that's a good play. Or Baltimore against Cleveland. Yeah. You know what? You could do worse. Watson could look really bad. Who am I picking in this one? Jay's got the quarterback advantage. Jay has the flex advantage, but I think I like Matika's roster this week. Jay, I'm gonna have to fuck you, Jay. I'm gonna have to put thoughts into touchdowns. I'm gonna consider touchdowns. Will Lamar score? Lamar will get 2, so I'm doing the Matika side. 2 touchdowns for Lamar. I don't know if Judy scores, but he has a good game. I'm saying Rashid Shaheed touchdown. I don't know why I feel like Rashid Shaheed touchdown. 3 touchdowns. Jerome Ford, 4 touchdowns. DeAndre Swift, no touchdowns. So that's 4 touchdowns. Huh. You know what? Interesting enough. I only counted 4. Let's try the Johnny side. Allen, 3 touchdowns. DJ Moore, nada. Gabe Davis. For Gabe Davis to hit 3 weeks in a row is asking a lot. But I did say it. 4 touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey, 2 touchdowns. So let's see. We're at 6, 7. Ooh, actually, dude, wow. And I'll say a split 8 touchdowns to 4 touchdowns. Johnny, I honestly thought this was going to be close, but apparently you're going to blow him out. No, don't say that, Nikki. Okay. It's going to be close. But based on my touchdown metric, I'm going to go Johnny. Oh, Sutton family in Florida, back to back. Don't go anywhere because now it's David Sutton's turn. David Sutton versus Dangerous Knights Crew, also known as Patrick Ryan, also known as Patrick Leo, also known as the greatest Falcons fan to ever walk the face of the earth. Hey guys. All right, here we go. David Sutton, 110. Underdog against Patrick Leo, 113. Okay, so I'm going to flat out tell you right now, I don't think Eckler plays. The fact of the matter is this: they have a bye week coming up. Why would you risk it a week before? They've been playing it smart so far, and I think they're going to do the same thing. Although the only reason why they might rush it is because they cannot run the ball and they want to be a balanced offense. Okay, here we go. Trevor Lawrence versus Atlanta, or Jalen Hurts versus Washington. I mean, Jalen Hurts will put up 33. Lawrence will put up 20. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, sign me up, baby. Versus T. Higgins, no thank you. And Drake London, no thank you. I think we know which way we're leaning on to this one. Kyron Williams, Javonte Williams, or if Austin Eckler doesn't go, it looks like Pacheco will be in. And I don't know. Let me break it down for you like this. If Eckler plays, he's going off. Connor's looked great in every single matchup. This guy is going places. Kyron Williams versus Indy should be a solid matchup. Javonte Williams, David, this might be the week he breaks double digits, buddy. Can you feel it? Can you feel how bad that Bears run defense is? And can you feel how Samaje Perine hasn't even been involved? And can you feel that Javonte Williams is going to be an RB2? And can you feel the fact that like Javonte Williams might actually get not one but two? Okay, no, we're pushing our luck. I don't think they're going to use him at the goal line, but I think he can go over 100 yards. Huh. Well, who do I have to pick in this one, baby? Kyron. Do I go the Kyron side or the Eckler? Well, I don't think Eckler's going to play. So if that's the case, gotta go Sutton. Sam Laporta, Zach Ertz. Sam Laporta body. DeAndre Hopkins, you're rolling him out again. You're rolling him out again. Wow. Props. Versus Isaiah Pacheco and Brandon Ayuk. Okay. Ayuk I like. I think Ayuk is the best player out of all the four, and I'm gonna have to lean that way. And I don't think Pacheco scores against New York. Philly against Washington. I mean, we know how that story is gonna end. Dallas against New England. Yes. Dallas was embarrassed. They're gonna come back strong, but I'm taking Philly. Philly might sack Sam Howell 9 times. Well, Patrick Leo, Jalen Hurts is gonna make you feel good, but I think that this Miami game might really put you on edge. I'm going to do the touchdown counter. Trevor Lawrence will get 2. So that's 2 touchdowns for David. Count 1 for Tyreek. 1 for Jalen Waddle because Paul's going to get pissed off when he sees him score. So that's 4. Kyron Williams, 1 touchdown. So that's 5. I'm going to say 5 from your offensive skill position players and then 6 from the Philadelphia Eagles defense. Jalen Hurts. Okay, 3 touchdowns. Higgins could score though, but I don't think it's not enough to beat that. I'll count it. 4. If Eckler plays, it's like 5 or 6. All right, I've done the math. I've done the math, ladies and gentlemen, and I am going with Dr. David Sotin. Well. I think these two teams were power ranked not just by myself, but by the consensus as top 3. Yikes. Okay. Here we go. We got myself versus
Mr. Williams. Can you hear me, Mr. Williams? Allen 3-0 has not lost. And my team 2-1. I think it's safe to say, based on record, based on points, based on what has happened so far in this season, we got to go with the matchup of the week, baby. Alan Williams, I'm going to shake your hand. This is a virtual handshake. Best of luck. I know a lot of people are buying into your team. So am I. Let us begin. Jordan Love on Thursday night against Detroit and Deshaun Watson. Well, okay. Jordan Love has been, I think he's a top 5 quarterback, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of people are expecting regression police to come for Jordan Love because he's like throwing for 200 yards and getting 3 touchdowns every game. Well, that also has to do with no running game because Aaron Jones is hurt. Detroit's defense, can we just pump the brakes for a second? Like, Detroit's defense has not been that bad. In fact, they have been amazing against the run, which kind of bodes well for Jordan Love. Jordan Love might also get Christian Watson back, which, dude, honestly, I think the regression is going to even out. I actually think that he might still put up these decent numbers. Deshaun Watson got off the schneid. He is now 2 other 3 games he's gone over 20 points, which is what you want to see from Deshaun Watson. On a short week, how does Jordan Love prepare? I'm not sure about that, and I know you're going to quote me on this, Alan. I don't know. He's going to be at home. He led a comeback. Great. How do they respond on a short week? Is he mentally prepared to do that and go in front of the home crowd on Thursday night football, baby? I'm going to say no. No, you know what? I don't have a strong lean here. I don't. I'm going to say a wash. Stephon Diggs and A.J. Brown, both in very solid matchups versus Jordan Addison and Puka Nacua. Jordan Addison. This could be a Jordan Addison game. I am nervous about Jordan Addison. Puka Nacua, finally came crashing down to earth. But needless to say, I think he gets the job done. But I'll trust my big dogs, Stephon and A.J. Brown, to get the job done. Allen, I don't expect Aaron Jones to play. Even if Aaron Jones was to play, I am taking Kenneth Walker and Travis Etienne versus whatever crap I can kind of throw out there. Just the way it is. Hunter Henry, I might go Gerald Everett, though, or Luke Musgrave. Luke Musgrave is always like a touchdown away, like an inch away from getting. Like, this guy should have 3 touchdowns by now. And Allen wishes that too. I think I would go Everett over Musgrave. Hunter Henry, I don't know what's going on there. Keenan Allen, who apparently has found the fountain of youth. George Pickens versus Jamar Chase. Marvin Mims Jr. against Chicago. Nice. Look at you, dude. Jamar Chase against Tennessee scares the crap out of me. Keenan Allen should still be okay. And then it comes down to Pickens and Marvin Mims Jr., which I think is a very even matchup. And then you got Cleveland against Baltimore. Very good defense, Allen. Or Tampa against Nolans. I also have, I believe, Bengals D. Yeah, I got Bengals D on the bench. So take that what you will. I don't know which defense I'm going to go yet. I got to really think hard about this one, baby. Who do I pick? Who do I pick? Well, I think the flexes are going to be very even. I think the reason why I'm saying this is Marvin Mims is in a good matchup, but the fact of the matter is this: even though he's not running routes, he's getting return yards, bitch. And on the flip side, George Pickens is still getting a lot of targets. Houston and Pittsburgh could be a really good matchup, fantasy-wise. I think it could. It's either going to underwhelm or go way overboard that people's expectations. Who do I pick? Tampa. Okay. Where things can get out of hand for me is that the running backs are just not going to be able to compete with the K9 and Travis Etienne. I think that's well known. And at this point, I have to eat dinner, so let me hold that thought.
Dinner was a success, Alan. So now I have to kind of get into this shit, right? All right, so I'm gonna tell you straight the fuck up. Here's what's gonna happen. Sean Watson, we're gonna do the touchdown counter. Touchdown counter is kind of like if I'm stuck because I think this is an even matchup. I know it's only 103, 105 because I think our teams kind of have like their floor might not be amazing. Well, obviously because I don't have any running backs. I think your floor is kind of unknown. Mine is kind of the receivers at like 10 or 11 floor, but they can hit and pop off with an upside. So here we go. Deshaun Watson. Ooh, I love me some Deshaun. How many touchdowns for Deshaun? Two. And I'll give Jordan Love two. I know he's hit three every game, but like I feel like, dude, your luck's gotta Luck's gotta run out sometime, right? So I think that's a dead. I'm gonna count the touchdowns on my side. Diggs will get a touchdown. I think he's due. AJ Brown will get a touchdown. I think he's due. So right now I'm at four. Touchdowns ain't scoring. The running backs ain't scoring shit. Tight end. Okay, so here's my bold take. I think Gerald Everett gets off the schneid. I don't know if I'm starting Hunter Henry against Dallas. So if I just counted four, so that's five. Keenan will be six. I don't necessarily know what to think of George Pickens. So I'll say six. Your side of the ball. Addison will have one, so that's three. Puka hasn't have a touchdown yet, so I'll keep it there. Walker, four. ETN, five. Six. Wow. Dude, honestly, it might come down to like my. Oof. Obviously, I think your floor is a lot higher than mine with the running backs. Keys to victory. Alan, I'm going to give you an in depth breakdown analysis. Y'all ready? Sean Watson. You know. Let's go with Watson. Oh, dude, I hate this. So far, I've predicted my matchups correctly. That's the funny thing. I'm not predicting anybody else's shit correctly, but with mine, I can tell you this right now. Kenneth Walker scares the living crap out of me. I might even counter with Zach Charbonnet, because I think Herbert has a good matchup, but like this could be the Roshan party, unless they're really desperate and they say, "Hey, Herbert, go and score." Jalen Warren too, I think could be all right. He's gonna get the catches, one would think. Um, Man, oh man, this is tough. F me, right? Allen, you know what, man? You got a good team. You're 3-0. I know the Matika team was like 6-0 or until his first loss or something like that. Can you go that far too, my friend? We're gonna do everything in our power to make sure that we're prepared for this undefeated team because I like this team a lot. I had this team ranked over mine in the beginning of the draft. Jamar Chase looks good too. So with Jamar Chase getting off the schneid, man, it's gonna be a tough battle. Um, we need Nick's keys to victory. Assuming that the receivers at least hit their floor, we need one of my running backs at least to get double-digit points. And if Deshaun becomes Deshaun, I think that's going to be a good key to victory in my estimation. I'm sorry, Alan, my phone's blowing up. That's why I'm a little bit off track. But Alan, man, you've got some management decisions, man. I don't want to use the term Belichickian, but you're always switching it up. You know what? I know who you are. I know exactly who the hell you are. Dude, you're the nickname. I gave you your nickname right now. You can't be Belichick because you don't have any rings. But you get guys that play in your system that we are kind of questioning what are you doing with them, and then they break out. You're the Kyle Shanahan of fantasy football, my friend. You can stick with that nickname. I think you would actually be very, very, very flattered to have that nickname. All right, Kyle Shanahan of fantasy. Because I figured you out, I'm going to win. Well, we hope that we're going to win, but I think it's anybody's ball game. Best of luck, my friend, Mr. Allen Williams.